konu başlığını inceleyeceğiz. Divanda Sayın Kalyun olacak. Former Ambassador to Mongolia. Evet. Raportör heyetinde eksik var mı? Orada da arkadaşlarımızdan galiba Sayın Tatar burada mı? Yok mu? Gelmedi mi? Peki. Onun yerini kaldıralım. Öbür arkadaşlar burada var mı? Tamam. O yerini kaldıralım o zaman. Ambasador Kalyon var. Hediye verecek arkadaşlarımız Sayın Ertuğrul Kumcuoğlu ve Sayın Yüksel Çengel. Onları da davet ediyorum. Kalyon nerede? Ben neydi şimdi ya? Sayın Ertuğrul Kumcuoğlu.
Uğur Özgöker'e ekliyoruz.
Tamam. Tamam. ...26. Avrasya Ekonomi Zirvesi'nin 3. oturumunu açmak üzere Özbekistan'dan Sayın Eldor Aripov beyefendiyi davet ediyorum. His Excellency Eldor Aripov from Uzbekistan.
Assalomu alaykum, hurmatli do'stlar, forum qatnashchilari, dear President Akansuver, dear participants, ladies and gentlemen. It's great pleasure and privilege to participate in the work of the Marmara Group Foundation Eurasian Economic Summit. As we are gathered here today, I want to take this opportunity to express my sincere condolences to the brotherly Turkish people with regards to the victims of the horrible catastrophe and heavy destructions. The government of the Republic of Uzbekistan took immediate action in terms of support of Turkey. Search and rescue teams, military doctors, several shipments of humanitarian aid were sent, and we are glad it all contributed to the many rescued lives and assisted the people in need. I firmly believe the Turkish people will soon overcome these difficulties, which will only make them stronger as a nation. Thanks to the patriotic, hard-working citizens, the Turkish flag will soon raise upon the newly constructed buildings, roads, and bridges, symbolizing a new, fresh chapter for the country. Dear friends, this is especially for Turkey. It is the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Republic of Turkey. And referring to the founding father of the Republic, Mustafa Kemal Atatürk, peace at home is peace in the world. Your country has made every effort to become a strong, dynamically developed state with a solid economic base. It is important that today Turkey plays an active and stabilizing role in the regional and global levels. And I am glad to say that because of the strong political will of the leaders of Uzbekistan and Turkey, relations between our countries have made qualitative leap in recent years. Our cooperation is growing from year to year. We have managed to intensify all areas of bilateral and multilateral cooperation and to use the new mechanisms of interaction at all levels. Dear participants, the Eurasian Economic Forum, now in its 26th year, has become an international platform that brings together prominent public and political figures, scholars and representatives of the business community. Once again, I would like to congratulate President Suver and his colleagues on this extraordinary achievement. This platform provides an opportunity to exchange views on current issues of international development and to build bridges between countries and nations. The forum makes a significant contribution to the sustainable development of the Eurasian region and serves to expand multifaceted cooperation among Eurasian countries, finding point of contacts and mitigating common threats. This is particularly important in the current context of growing contradictions in international relations, declining trust between states, and ongoing armed conflicts in the different parts of the world. In this context, I found the title of today's event, Ending Mistrust, Building Cooperation, more than relevant. We all understand that the world is yet again entering a period of great change. The shift is widespread, affecting all countries and continents, with negative consequences for the international relations, security, and the global economy. New challenges and threats are emerging in the military, strategic, economic, food, energy, environmental, and information spheres. In these circumstances, it is obvious that no country alone can hope to avoid or cope with these global risks and challenges. At the same time, the modern system of international cooperation based on the universal principles and norms begins to falter. One of the main reasons for this is deep crisis of trust, which in turn provokes a geopolitical confrontation and the risk of reviving the bloc thinking stereotypes. We believe it is important to bear in mind the mistakes of the past and not allow them to be repeated. Today we face a choice. Either we cross the Rubicon, sink back into an era of instability, hardship, and armed conflicts, or we will rise above our narrow national interests and join forces to confront common threats to peace and security and restore confidence. Until recently, the Central Asian region has been an example of how neighbors should not live next to each other and how neighbors should not be friends. This includes frozen trade, problems with state borders, water use, and transportation. Today, we are an example of how to work together for the benefit of our people. The situation changed radically when we finally realized that no one is going to solve our problems for us. As the President of Uzbekistan, Mr. Shavkat Mirziyoyev, noted, the future of the region is shaped by every state in Central Asia. It has become our realization that the only way to solve even the most complex problems are with dialogue and reasonable compromises based on the principles of friendship and mutually beneficial partnership. And thanks to this approach, we have managed to melt the ice and overcome the crisis of confidence in Central Asia. In a relatively short historical period, the countries of the region have agreed on the number of complex issues. We have reached important agreements on demarcation and delimitation of our borders. Instead of disputes over water use, we started to build hydrotechnical facilities together. We opened our borders and intensified cooperation. Since 2016, regional trade increased by 2.5 times. Undeniably, we still have many work to do and many issues to overcome. However, undoubtedly we have made Central Asia more consolidated stable and resistant to external challenges and tests. Dear participants, the problems the international community facing today are complex and interrelated. All this makes it necessary to maintain a regular dialogue which should be constructive and pragmatic. And in this regard, the President of Uzbekistan, Shavkat Mirziyoyev, has proposed the Samarkand Solidarity Initiative for Common Security and Prosperity. It is intended to become an effective platform for global dialogue and finding common solutions to the most acute problems. We believe that at this critical moment in the world history, it is essential to join our efforts to create new and improve existing mechanisms to ensure global security, to address the post-pandemic recovery of the global economy, and to adopt comprehensive measures to combat climate change. Indeed, the Samarkand Initiative will help to launch a new international dialogue free from geopolitical rivalries, cultural and value differences, national egoism, and ideological bias. I would like to take this opportunity and to invite you all to participate in the upcoming International Samarkand Forum, which will be inaugurated soon. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your kind speech. His Excellency Eldor Aripov, please. Please. Teşekkür ederiz. Şimdi Çin Halk Cumhuriyeti Dışişleri Enstitüsü ile Marmara Grubu Vakfı arasında bir iyi niyet imzalaması yapılacaktır. Bu imza töreni için Sayın Büyükelçi Li Jiang'ı davet ediyorum. Marmara Grubu Vakfı ile Çin Halk Cumhuriyeti Dışişleri Bakanlığı Enstitüsü arasında imzalanan iyi niyet anlaşmasının iki ülkeye hayırlar getirmesini temenni ediyoruz. Bu vesileyle Sayın Büyükelçi Li Jiang'a Marmara Grubu Vakfı adına teşekkürlerimizi sunuyorum. Şimdi söz İstanbul Beylikdüzü Belediye Başkanı Sayın Mehmet Murat Çalık Beyefendi'de. Mehmet Murat Çalık Beyefendi'nin başkanlığını yaptığı Beylikdüzü Belediyesi Marmara Grubu Vakfı'nın sponsorudur, destekleyicisidir. Kendilerine huzurlarınızda teşekkür ediyorum.
Çok teşekkür ediyorum. Sevgili, saygıdeğer Cumhurbaşkanlarım, Sayın bakanlar, bakan yardımcıları, büyükelçiler, konsoloslar, milletvekilleri, sivil toplum kurumlarının çok kıymetli temsilcileri, belediye başkanlarımız, hepinizi saygıyla, sevgiyle selamlıyorum. Marmara Grubu Vakfı adına Akkan Süver Beyefendi ve tüm heyetini de saygıyla, sevgiyle selamlamak istiyorum. Sözlerime bir düşünürün cümleleriyle başlamak istiyorum. İnsan kendi cehennemini yaratan ve kendini hapsettiği o cehennemde mutluluk arayan tek varlıktır, diyor bu düşünür. Herkes elini vicdanına koysun ve aynaya bir baksın. Gelin bu aynaya siyasallaşan enerji tedariki krizi üzerinden bakalım, çevre felaketleri üzerinden bakalım, iklim krizi ve değişen dünya düzeni penceresinden bakalım. Bu zirvenin ana temasında kriz var, onu görüyorum. Ama geçmişte krizler farklıydı, krizler geliyordu ve gidiyordu. Eskiden krizler bir ülkeye geldiğinde o ülke bir şekilde bu krizlerle baş edip daha sonra eski haline dönebiliyordu ama şimdi maalesef öyle değil. 5 temel kriz artık tüm ülkelerimizin temeline oturmuş durumda. Ekonomik kriz, ekolojik kriz ki bunun içerisine pandemiyi de ilave edebiliriz. Refah devletinin krizi, demokrasi krizi ve sınır krizleri, kitlesel göç ve insan kaçakçılığı olarak da tariflenebilir bu göçler. Türkiye bu yönüyle tüm bu krizlerin aslında merkezinde yer almış bir ülke. Önce siyasallaşan enerji tedarik süreçlerinden biraz bahsetmek istiyorum. Bugün dünya 1973'teki petrol krizinden bu yana en ciddi enerji krizini yaşamakta. Rusya-Ukrayna savaşından sonra NATO üyesi ülkelerin Rusya'ya karşı uygulamış olduğu ekonomik ve siyasi yaptırımlar neticesinde Rusya'nın Avrupa'ya sevk etmiş olduğu doğal gazı %75 oranında kesintiye gitmesi aslında enerji tedarik krizinin siyasallaşmasının son örneğidir diyebiliriz. Dünya enerji piyasası zaten pandemiyle daralmışken bu süreç, Çin, Hindistan ve Brezilya'da yaşanan kuraklık neticesinde krizin boyutları her geçen gün artmışken, peki Avrupa ülkeleri bununla nasıl baş etmeye çalışıyor? Fransa enerji şirketlerine dönük kamulaştırma hamleleri yapıyor. İngiltere'nin enerji şirketlerine dönük vergi arttırım politikaları var. Almanya nükleer enerjiyi konuşmaya başladı, tartışmaya başladı. Enerji üretimi özel sektöre terk edilemeyecek kadar önemli kamusal bir gereklilik olduğunu bu bize gösteriyor. Yani krizleri aşmanın yolu piyasadan değil, sadece piyasadan değil, kamudan, kamusal olandan geçiyor. Peki güzel ülkemde, Türkiye'de durum nasıl? Tamamen dışa bağımlı, fosil yakıtlar temelli ilerleyen bir enerji süreçlerinden bahsedebiliriz. Fosil yakıtların payı %84 civarında, enerji arzının %69'u ithal, %31'i ise yerli. Kamu elektrik kaynakları AK Parti döneminde özelleştirilmiş, elektrik dağıtımı tamamen özel şirketlere devredilmiştir. Alternatif ve yenilenebilir enerji kaynakları bu ülkenin, aslında ülkemizin temel yönelimi olmak zorundadır. Yani siyasallaşan enerji krizini aşmanın yolu kamusal yatırımlardan geçiyor. Piyasanın değil, halkın ihtiyaçlarına göre düzenlenmiş politikalardan geçiyor. Tabii insanoğlunun birçok çelişkisi var. Ölümlü olmamıza rağmen hiç ölmeyecekmiş gibi yaşıyor ama hiç yaşamamış gibi de ölüyoruz bir taraftan. Tüm kaynakları gelecek nesilleri hiç düşünmeden kullanıyoruz maalesef. Kaynaklarımız sınırlı, her şeyi tüketiyoruz. Doğanın çığlığını duymak zorundayız. İklim krizi ve çevre dünyamızın en önemli gündemlerinden bir tanesi. Sadece bugün bizim için değil, aslında gelecekte dünyamızda yaşayacak nesiller için de çok ama çok önemli. Yaşamın devam edebilmesi için çevreye karşı duyarlılıklarımızın maksimum düzeyde olması lazım. İklim krizi kapıda değil, artık evin içerisinde. Durum çok acil ve derhal harekete geçmek zorundayız. Pasifik Okyanusu'nda 7. kıtayı oluşturduğumuzdan herhalde haberdar değilsinizdir. El birliğiyle Büyük Pasifik Çöp Adası'nı oluşturmuş bulunmaktayız. Bu çöp kıtasının yaklaşık büyüklüğü 1,6 milyon kilometre kare, yani Türkiye'nin yüz ölçümünün 2 katı büyüklüğüne sahip. Bu kıtayı bizim tüketim alışkanlıklarımız oluşturdu. Şayet tüketim alışkanlıklarımızı azaltır, tekrar kullanır, geri dönüşüme önem verirsek, doğal kaynakların gelecek kuşaklara ulaşmasını da sağlamış olacağız. Bu sorun ancak tüm dünyanın, hükümetlerin işbirliğiyle çözülebilir. Ama önce kitlesel bir idrake ihtiyacımız var. Doğanın bozduğumuz dengesini yeniden sağlamak için bu farkındalık bizim için gerçekten çok önemli. Bu gezegen ve doğa, ekosistemleri insan olmadan da varlığını sürdürebilir. Ama insanlık doğa olmadan varlığını asla sürdüremez. Şimdi tarihimizin en büyük varoluşsal kriziyle karşı karşıya olduğumuzun gerçeğiyle yüzleşme zamanı ve işbirliği yapma zamanı. Hızlı nüfus artışının bizim gibi ülkelerde ekonomik ve sosyal krizlere yol açtığını kavramak zorundayız. Dünyamız ısınıyor çünkü sera gazı salınımını azaltmayan şirketler devletlerden daha büyük. Dünya çölleşiyor çünkü şirketlerin kar hırsı ekosistemden daha önemli. Eskiden tahıl ambarı olan Türkiye bugün buğday ithal eder duruma geldi. Çünkü tarım nüfusu AK Parti eliyle maalesef yok edildi. Cep telefonu satın alıp AVM yaparak büyümeye çalışan ekonomik modeli bizlere dayattılar. Yaptıkları AVM'lerde binaların da çürük olduğunu gördük. Tıpkı bu ekonomik model gibi. En son deprem bu gerçekle yüzleşmemizi bir kez daha sağladı. Bir doğa gerçeğini görmezden gelenlerin yüzünden halkımız maalesef ranta kurban gitti. Bu rant düzenine karşı durmak hepimizin boynunun borcudur. Biz yerel yönetimler olarak yönettiğimiz kentleri depreme hazırlıklı, dayanıklı ve dirençli bir kent haline getirmek için var gücümüzle çalışıyoruz. Göreve geldiğim ilk günden beri hep aynı şeyi söylüyorum. Ben komşularımı göçük altında aramak isteyen bir belediye başkanı değilim diyorum. Oturup başımıza gelecek felaketi asla bekleyemeyiz. Bunun için ne gerekiyorsa yapmalıyız. Bu ülkede aslında ortak akıl çağını başlatmak zorundayız. Siyaset üstü bir yaklaşımla merkezi yönetim ve yerel yönetim işbirliğiyle yeni bir sistem inşa etmek zorundayız. Kıymetli katılımcılar, son olarak teknoloji ve gençlerden bahsetmek isterim. Şimdiki gençlere Z kuşağı diyoruz değil mi? Çabuk sıkılan, tüketmeyi seven, ekip çalışmasından hoşlanmayan insanlar olarak tanımlıyoruz bu gençleri. Peki burada bulunan katılımcılara sormak isterim. Türkiye'deki milyonlarca işsiz genç de bu kuşağa mı giriyor? Suriye'den kız kardeşini sırtına alıp gelen gençler de bu kuşakta mı? Adana'da pamuk tarlasında çalışan çocuklarımız hangi kuşakta? Afganistan'da okula gidemeyen milyonlarca kız çocuğu, bunlar da bu Z kuşağı diyebileceğimiz çocuklar mı? Gençleri tüketim alışkanlıkları üzerinden sınıflandıranlar, enerji piyasalarını siyasallaştıran, gıda tedarik zincirini bozan, ekolojiyi yok eden hep aynı bakış açısı. Söyledikleri şey hep aynı, tüketin. Mesela sosyal medya denen olgunun gençler üzerinde neler yaptığından bahsedip sözlerime son vermek istiyorum. Sosyal medya uygulamalarında sonsuz kaydırma özelliğini bulan yazılımcılığın deyişiyle söyleyeceğim. Sonsuz kaydırma özelliği yüzünden 200 bin insanın tüm yaşamına eş değer bir zaman kaybı yarattığından bahsediyor. Bir kez daha tekrar etmek istiyorum. Sonsuz kaydırma özelliği yüzünden 200 bin insanın tüm yaşamına eş değer bir zaman kaybı yaratılmış. Ayrıca gençlerimizin dikkatleri dağıtıldı. Artık kimse odaklanamıyor. Biz odaklanamadığımız için, gençler odaklanamadığı için birileri ekonomiyi, çevreyi, binaları, yaşadığımız kentleri, kısacası dünyamızı mahvediyorlar. Sözlerimi de şair Nilgün Marmara hanımefendinin şiirinden bir sözle, bir mısrayla bitirmek istiyorum. Ben babamın yuvarladığı çığın altında kaldım diyor şair. Çocuklarımızı çığın altında bırakmayacağımız bir dünya yaratmak hepimizin elinde. Bu mücadelede herkese kolaylıklar diliyorum. Hepinizi sevgiyle, saygıyla selamlıyorum.
Teşekkür ediyoruz. Değerli başkanım, Sayın Mehmet Murat Çalık Beyefendi'ye Marmara Grubu... Hadi versenize Ertuğrul abi. Çok teşekkür ediyoruz. Sayın Çalık'a teşekkürlerimizi sunuyoruz. Kürsüye Azerbaycan Alat Ekonomik Serbest Bölge Genel Müdürü Sayın Erşan Rahman Beyefendi'yi davet ediyorum. Sayın Rahman, söz sizin efendim.
Sayın Hakan Bey, sayın katılımcılar, misafirler, sizi hem kendi adımdan hem de Ələt Sərbəst Ekonomi Bölgəsinin yetkili kurumu Yönetim Kurulu Başkanı Sayın Vali Ələsgərov adından salamlıyorum. Sunuma geçmezden önce ilk önce kardeş ülkede depremden hayatını kaybedenlere Allah'tan rahmet, yaralılara acil şifalar diliyoruz. İzninizle sunumumu İngilizce geçmek istiyorum. Thank you. Now I would like to briefly inform you about the unique for entire post-Soviet area and surrounding countries project, the Alat-Free Economic Zone in Azerbaijan. The first reason for uniqueness of this project is that our project is an important part of the general policy of the President of and the government of Azerbaijan to develop a knowledge-based and internationally competitive economy with the goal to become a highly competitive participant in international economic relations with diversified and export-oriented economy, creating high added value based on a world-class attractive business environment with modern energy, transportation, and logistical infrastructure. The second reason for this is that AFEZ is located at the intersection of international transport corridors in vicinity of the Baku International Sea Trade Port. The third reason for this, and my favorite by the way, the unique legal base of AFEZ. The legal framework of the development, operation and governance of AFEZ is based on the law of the Republic of Azerbaijan on the Alat-Free Economic Zone, adopted by the Parliament and signed by the President of Azerbaijan as a prevailing law of Republic of Azerbaijan, and internal regulations of AFEZ issued by the AFEZ authority, and these internal regulations are integral part of AFEZ legislation. And the law of the Republic of Azerbaijan on the Alat-Free Economic Zone declares that AFEZ legislation, which consists of AFEZ law and internal regulations, taking precedence over the base economy legislation. To clearly demonstrate precedence of the AFEZ legislation over the base economy legislation and exclude possibility of any conflicts, misunderstandings and contradictions in the interpretation of the provisions of the AFEZ legislation and base economy legislation, the relevant amendments were made and adopted by our Parliament in constitutional law on normative legal acts, in tax, customs, licensing, labor resolution, and other laws of the Republic of Azerbaijan. By the way, these are more than 85 laws, and these amendments clearly acknowledge that AFEZ legislation takes precedence over those laws of the base economy. In addition to that, AFEZ law clearly declares that base economy authorities shall not have any jurisdiction in AFEZ and shall not have any power to regulate or oversee the activities of AFEZ authority or AFEZ legal entities, their owners, creditors, and employees. In short, the legislation of base economy is not valid in AFEZ, and for such subject of AFEZ and only AFEZ authority, which is a very independent regulatory body, is responsible and will be responsible for the exact implementation of the legislation of the Alat-Free Economic Zone in the interest of the businesses established by investors in AFEZ. As I said before, internal regulations developed and approved by AFEZ authority are an integral part of AFEZ legislation, and the main purpose of these internal regulations is to create best possible business environment for our investors. A list of these internal regulations is presented on the slide shown on the screen. These are company regulations, licensing regulations, maintaining and closing bank accounts regulations, employment regulations, environmental regulations, customs, tax regulations, and others. As I mentioned earlier, AFEZ internal regulations are an integral part of AFEZ legislation, and AFEZ legislation prevails over base economy laws. In addition to that, we are providing to our investors and to businesses established by them in AFEZ a package of fiscal and non-fiscal incentives that are shown on the screen. Exemption from value-added tax, withholding tax, and any other corporate tax. Exemption from customs duties, taxes on import to the free zone and export from the zone. No personal income tax for local personnel, no social security payments, no other similar taxes and payments for foreign skilled personnel. No restrictions on the foreign ownership. no requirement for a local partner, no restrictions on currency transaction or profit repatriation. Investors' property is immune from any nationalization expropriation measures or any other restrictions on private ownership. Full protection of intellectual property rights. Assistance in finding local skilled personnel. On-site one-stop shop business appraisal, licensing, permitting without any base economy authorities or agencies' involvement. Independent regulatory body and other incentives. And these incentives will also be available to support the subsequent expansion and growth of our clients' businesses into the future. AFEZ will serve the needs of investors who will engage in higher added value and export-oriented manufacturing and international trade services using innovative technologies and approaches to work in accordance with the best international standards. Export-oriented term indicates that at least 75% of goods produced and manufactured in Avrasya Economic Zone by investors must be exported outside of the Republic of Azerbaijan, and the main reason for such a requirement is to prevent establishment of small enterprises focused only on the local Azerbaijani market. In addition to business-friendly legislation, fiscal and non-fiscal incentives in cooperation with Azerbaijani investment company, we are ready to provide to our clients equity participation in businesses established in AFEZ. In addition to business-friendly legislation, fiscal and non-fiscal incentives, equity participation in industries, we are ready to provide to our clients industrial-ready industrial land plots with ready-to-use off-site and on-site infrastructure and utilities. Based on approved by AFEZ Authority Master Plan, AFEZ initially will occupy a total site area of 850 hectares located next to the seaport of Baku and global transport corridors. In addition to that, the government reserved more than 7,000 hectares for future expansion of AFEZ. I am sure that it will be very attractive for our potential clients that, in accordance with the law of the Republic of Azerbaijan on the Avrasya Economic Zone, the government granted the Free Zone Authority an irrevocable, unfettered and perpetual right of use over the Free Zone land, and only Free Zone Authority is entitled to use, lease or otherwise dispose of the Free Zone land. The development strategy being implemented by the AFEZ Authority is to build out AFEZ infrastructure and facilities in phases. We have almost completed the first phase of the development of off-site and on-site infrastructure and utilities of initial 60-hectare area started in June 2021. This first phase infrastructure development includes 60-hectare territory with ready-to-use off-site and on-site infrastructure and utilities, the customs plaza and the main entrance of AFEZ, you can see on the video, and AFEZ Authority building in which the following is placed. One-stop shop business center responsible for issuing licenses, permits, visas, certificates without any base economy authorities or agencies involvement, offices for our clients to lease, offices for customs officers who will serve our customs plaza in accordance with customs regulations adopted by AFEZ Authority. In addition to that, in order to meet the needs of our customers in transportation and logistics services, we will establish 2 logistics and transportation centers. One of the territory of 50,000 square meters for goods transported by road, and the second on the territory of 160,000 square meters for goods transported by rail. Despite the fact that the existing transportation and logistics infrastructure allow us to meet the current needs of customers, we will establish above-mentioned centers to meet increasing needs of our customers in transportation and logistics services in future. By the way, European Bank for Reconstruction and Development, EBRD, has issued a loan for the logistics center located on the area of 50,000 square meters, and construction works of the logistics center have already started. And this logistics center will be ready to provide services at the end of 2023, the second one partially at the end of 2003, and completely no later than the end of 2024. Due to a high number of committed investors in our project, who are ready to invest their funds and start building of their enterprises on territory of AFEZ, we have finalized detailed design and will start construction works on next 138 hectare area within few weeks. Finally, We have two goals, and both of them are crucial. First, we will create the best possible business environment for AFES clients so that they have all they need to successfully establish and develop their businesses in AFES, and at the same time, we will support expansion of and growth of businesses of our clients in the future. Secondly, we want to demonstrate to the people of Azerbaijan what the transition to an internationally competitive and knowledge-based economy means in practice, to support and assist our entrepreneurs, our businesses, entities to learn and practice a new business culture, new technologies, generate innovative enterprises to create real value for the economy and the people of Azerbaijan. And of course, business enterprises from all over the world, from all the countries, are welcome to Alat-Free Economic Zone. For those who are interested in getting additional information about Alat-Free Economic Zone, please feel free to get in touch with us via provided contact information. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for your kind speech, Mr. Elshan Rahmanov. Şimdi söz sırası Çin Halk Cumhuriyeti'nden Büyükelçi Li Ji'de. Sayın Li Ji, Dışişleri Bakanlığı Enstitüsü Başkan Yardımcısıdır. Buyurun Büyükelçi Sayın Li Ji.
President Akasuva, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, please allow me to express my heartfelt thanks to the organizer for inviting me to attend the prestigious Eurasian Summit. Over the past 26 years, the summit has been actively committed to advocating multilateralism and solving global governance problems. It has been an important platform for countries to enhance understanding, strengthen mutual trust, and deepen cooperation. This year marks the 100th anniversary of the founding of the Republic of Turkey. On behalf of the Chinese People's Institute of Foreign Affairs, I would like to extend my congratulations to the Republic of Turkey on its centennial birthday. At the same time, I would like to express my deep mourning to the victims of the earthquake in February this year and extend my sincere condolences to the Turkish people affected by the earthquake. It is my belief that the government and people of Turkey will overcome difficulties and rebuild their beautiful homeland at an early date. Ladies and gentlemen, currently the COVID-19 has been basically under control, but trust between major countries is deteriorating. Geopolitical rift is widening, and unilateralism is rampant. The Cold War mentality is back. New types of security threats from energy, food, climate, biology, and artificial intelligence keep emerging. The prospect of peace and development of mankind is overshadowed. Once again, humans are standing at an important crossroads of history. Our future hinges on the choices we make. At the 20th National Congress of the CPC last year, President Xi Jinping of China pointed out that building a human community with a shared future is the way forward for all the world's peoples. Following the principle of consultation and cooperation for shared benefits, China put forward the Belt and Road Initiative, the Global Development Initiative, and the Global Security Initiative. China is committed to injecting positive energy into world security and development. We will continue to host the China International Import Expo, the China Service Trade Fair, the China Import and Export Fair, and the China International Consumer Products Expo. And for the first time, we will hold the Invest in China year this year. China is committed to be the stabilizer of the global economy and its recovery after the pandemic. The messages I would like to convey to our friends here is that our country is committed to the path of peaceful development. We will advance the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation on all fronts through a Chinese path to modernization. We will strive to create new opportunities for the world with China's development. We will promote the development and open world economy to better benefit the people of all countries. Looking back, China has long been a strong engine for world economic growth. According to the World Bank, China has contributed an average rate of 38.6% to global economic growth from the year 2013 to 2019. In the past 3 years, against the backdrop of the turbulence of the global economic and trade environment, China has taken effective measures to stabilize production and exports. We have ensured the smooth operation of global industrial and supply chains. Looking ahead, China will undoubtedly become the most attractive market in the world. We have a population of over 1.4 billion and a middle income group of more than 400 million people, which will exceed 800 million in 15 years. I mean, the middle income group. China stands ready to inject strong impetus into the post-pandemic economic recovery with its sustained and stable, steady development. Ladies and gentlemen, the Chinese people have always valued peace dearly. We stand ready to work with people of all countries to follow the historic trend, tackle challenges, and foster a more equitable and reasonable international order. I would like to take this opportunity to make the following appeal. First, let us stop war and chaos resolutely and safeguard world peace. We should engage in dialogue, consultation, and win-win cooperation, and reject confrontation, coercion, and zero-sum game. We should take the legitimate security concerns of all countries seriously and promote the establishment of a balanced, effective, and sustained security architecture. Second, let us hold openness and cooperation as a principle for common development. We should strengthen policy communication and coordination, accelerate the implementation of the UN 2030 Agenda, promote the liberalization and facilitation of trade and investment, and seek to achieve more robust, green, and balanced global development. Third, let us practice true multilateralism and improve global governance. We should firmly defend the international system with the United Nations at its core, the international order underpinned by international law and the basic norms governing international relations based on the UN Charter, making global governance more just and equitable. Ladies and gentlemen, as important members of the G20 and major emerging markets, China and Turkey share similar positions on major international and regional issues, and we are important forces for promoting world peace and prosperity. Turkey is an important partner of China in high-quality Belt and Road cooperation. In recent years, China-Turkey strategic cooperation has been deepening under the leadership of the two heads of state. China is ready to work with Turkey to further enhance political mutual trust, deepen practical cooperation, foster people-to-people bonds, promoting the healthy and stable development of the strategic cooperative relationship between our two countries, and jointly safeguarding the security, stability, and prosperity of the region and the world. The Chinese People's Institute of Foreign Affairs, we are looking forward to closer exchanges and cooperation with institutions of other countries. Finally, I wish the summit a complete success. Thank you very much.
Dear Ambassador Li Ji, thank you very much for your kind speech and for your information. Teşekkür ediyoruz. Devam ediyoruz konuşmacılarımızı dinlemeye. Özbekistan'la başladık, Azerbaycan'la devam ettik, Türkiye'yle devam ettik. Çin Halk Cumhuriyeti'nden sonra şimdi Polonya'dan Başbakan eski yardımcısı Sayın Profesör Doktor Grzegorz Kolotko'yu davet ediyorum. Sayın Kolotko. Dear His Excellency Kolotko.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good afternoon. Indeed, I am from Poland. I'm here basically in my research capacity as professor of economics, economic policy, and political economy. But since my research has been policy-oriented, I was a couple of times invited to join the Polish government during very difficult, challenging periods of time. And I was engaged in policy making as Deputy Prime Minister and Minister of Finance, visiting during this capacity also Turkey 20 years ago. So the things changed. Now we see that the title of this conference, of this session, is Effects of the New Order. I wonder why it is not the effects of the new chaos. Because actually what we do have in the world, it's more like a chaos than an order. Very many things, issues, processes are getting out of control of international community, of international organizations, of regional groupings, of national leaders. And there is one great question mark: what the new order in the future is supposed to be, what will emerge from this time of chaos, of a volatile world. We have heard inspiring speeches, addresses from intellectual, political, and business leaders from countries of other regions of the world, which by all means is not the most important in the world. There is over 8 billion people, but for us, this is the most important part of the world. Since we are here at Istanbul in Turkey, much of attention is being given to Black Sea Cooperation, Economic Cooperation Council, or to the organization of the Turkic language countries. But please do remember that there are also some other regional initiatives, projects, outlines, structures developed to different degree. We just heard the address of His Excellency Ambassador of China. So nearby is first 16+1, then when Greece joined 17+1, then when 3 Baltic countries, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, unfortunately retired, 14+1 within the great Chinese initiative of Belt and Road project. We have also something else, pretty close to Turkey, to this part of the Eurasia, which is so-called 3C initiative, where the leading edge is my country of Poland. 3C, that is Baltic, Adriatic, and Black Sea, 12 countries, but as it happens in politics, out of these 12 countries, 4 don't have access to any sea, like Czech Republic, Slovakia, Hungary, Austria. So I'm pointing to these 4 regional structures, initiatives, projects, organizations which are supposed to facilitate, first of all, economic cooperation, which is supposed to suit balanced, ecologically, socially, and economically, economic growth and development, with plenty of problems we have in this volatile world of chaos. And now I'm raising the question, which was addressed also during recent debates at this distinguished Eurasian Economic Summits, and the credit goes to Dr. Suver for keeping us together discussing the challenges, the issues. What about globalization? Is this regionalizations against globalization? Is globalization over? Is it already globalization, or is this the end of globalization as we know it? It's not a religion, it's not a belief. It is just my professional economic knowledge that globalization is an irreversible process. I'm referring to economic globalization, which is, in my theoretical thinking, including my new pragmatism theory, defined as historical and spontaneous, if not chaotic, process of liberalization and integration of thus far performing separately to the extent separately national and regional economies into one intertwined, interconnected global economy. What happens here, it may be Azerbaijan or Turkey or other country nearby, it depends on what is happening, say, in ASEAN, where the core country is Indonesia, or Mercosur, which is led by the big populous country of Brazil. We are interconnected. And now we have protectionism, we have a resurgence of protectionism. Actually, we have the new Cold War, which actually was declared by the mighty United States against China, and now, for the obvious reason, of course, against Russia after this shameful invasion, regretful invasion of Ukraine. So indeed, is this the end of the globalization? I don't think so. I don't have a written speech, but I have here my mobile phone, as everybody has, and let me quote an opinion presented recently by very influential in our professional economic, political, business cycles, British-American think tank, the Intelligence Economist Unit. They said, in the long term, one Western bashing bloc led by China and Russia, and one Western-leaning bloc led by the US and the EU will cement themselves into the geopolitical landscape and use economic and military levers to court countries that are not aligned with either side. We expect this competition for influence to expand rapidly beyond Asia and into Africa, the Middle East, and Latin America. Well, or I would say very bad. From a political viewpoint, I see a strong attempt, but actually on the Western side, led by the US, to go into this direction, to split the world of us in two parts, one pro-Western, led by US and UK, or as they declare, I'm not sure they believe it, but they declare by EU, the European Union, and they say they will attempt to bring as many countries from the remaining parts of the world into the circle, if necessary, using military levers. And the other part of the world, which they believe may be led by China and Russia. Hardly. Definitely the other part of the world will be not led neither by China and absolutely not by Russia, by nobody. It will be also multipolar. My approach, also from an economic, sensible viewpoint, is that instead of splitting, dividing the world into two hostile blocks, West led by US and East led by whom? It depends, it remains to be seen, but don't forget about such mighty country, populous and rising economy like India with their own ambition. There is an alternative. Instead of talking about these two enemies with controversies and competition, even sometimes using military levers to bring in some other countries, I'm seeing this world not as divided into these two parts, but as consisting of the two parts. And one of them is Eurasia, yes, with the US on the helm, leading this part of the world by the political, intellectual, technological, financial, economic, and military mighty, and the Eurasian part of the world, led by nobody, but by coordination mechanism with very strong, but not a monopolistic, not hegemonic position of China. And here we are coming to Turkey, and here we are coming to Poland. We have plenty of things in common, and we have so many differences between us from very many angles, culture, politics, economics, demography, and so on. But from geopolitical viewpoint, European Union, of which Poland is a member, a proud member since 20 years, and I did have something to do with bringing my countries to the membership of the European Union. So European Union is both in the Euro-Atlantic part of the world and in the Eurasian part of the world. And it is a matter of fundamental principle that European Union will not become a part of Western part of the world led by US, which will be anti-Eastern part of the world. And here Poland has contributed somehow to this process in a proportion to our cultural, political, and economic meaning, which is not that big. It's somehow comparable with the potential of Turkey. And here I would like also to refer to Turkey. I think that in this world of chaos, in this split, in this division, which is supposed to lead sometimes to using the military levers to be more influential, Turkey has a lot to say because Turkey is in the middle of the road. Turkey is the West, but it's also the East. Turkey is in Eurasia, but it is also in Euro-Atlantic part of the world. Turkey is between Africa and Middle East. Turkey is a country with great history and great future, presuming that it will be led by technocracy, meritocracy, and will take the current stage of irreversible globalization to the Turkey advantage, but not against interest of somebody else. And from this perspective, I'm trying to analyze the meaning, the contributions, the prospects, the ups and downs of this regional groupings, initiative, projects, ideas, which I have mentioned and about which we have discussed a lot. So, in conclusion, do not let us be driven into the world which will be split between Euro-Atlantic led by the US and Eurasian led by China. Let's try to bring these two parts of the world, making step by step a contribution as much as we can. And we can much more than sometimes in the capital cities of these power countries of the world they believe. That depends on knowledge. That depends also on commitment. Everything depends on two eyes. Ideas where we differ and interest where they differ. But all the problems, all the contradictions we do have on these fields, they do have the solution. We are not doomed for another unmanageable crisis, but we are not bound also for undisputable success. It depends on the quality of our knowledge, on the quality of our political leadership. I'm afraid that we have much more professional, including economic knowledge, how to address these issues than the proper, up to the challenge political leadership. But the things will change, and hopefully when we will be celebrating the 50th summit of Eurasia here in Istanbul, the world will look much better than in 2023. Thank you.
Thank you so much for your kind speech, dear Professor Kolotko. Now, I invite Madame Anna Purtova, Member of Parliament of the Ukraine. Sayın Madame Anna Purtova, Ukrayna Parlamentosu üyesi.
Dear attendees, greetings to each and everyone. Dear President Suver, thank you for the invitation. First, I want to express my deepest condolence to Turkish people. During this hard time, Ukrainian people are with you. Today we talk a lot about economy, about cooperation, about trust, but being Ukrainian, I have to talk about the economy at war. The war of Russia against Ukraine is a global-scale phenomenon. It reflects on the majority of countries in the world in one way or another. Mainly, Ukraine is one suffering, but young states and developing countries like Africa or Asia are also affected. We have seen what Putin's military aggression against Ukraine resulted in: a huge increase in prices for food, energy sources, steel, and other important resources. There are the children who may die of hunger in African countries, also they have never heard of Ukraine or Russia. According to the World Bank, about 100 countries may fall below the poverty line or have serious problems overcoming it as a result of the war in Ukraine and coronavirus pandemic. As a result, it's all someone's life, someone's families, someone's work, and someone's losses. Therefore, the wars of others simply do not exist in the modern world. Everything is interconnected. This was clearly demonstrated to us in 2022, and now we see the progression of this trend. And if everything in the world is connected, it means that we cannot be sure that any other country will be safe and economically stable with unprovoked large-scale military aggression and murder of civilians is happening somewhere else. It's normal to talk about economy here. However, the war with its realities is also an economy, only with a minus. In Ukraine, 330,000 families have lost their homes as a result of the war. 9,000 of war crimes were registered in one small town of Bucha in the Kyiv region itself. These were all human beings who worked, created goods that were sold somewhere, exported, and were part of the global economy. Now this part of the global economy is destroyed for no reason, only because one person in the Kremlin wanted to. Ukraine has all the prospects to make a big move forward. There are all the conditions needed, even though we are living in a very difficult and bloody time. Amid military events, battles, and difficulties, Ukrainians are demonstrating their full creative potential. The war is destroying towns and villages, but at the same time, new houses are being built in the liberated cities. New infrastructure facilities, new business projects are created by Ukrainians. And no one will leave it behind. After the victory, there will be neither emptiness nor a start from scratch. We are laying the foundation for a new Ukraine right here and right now. The war gives us many reasons to start the process of reconstruction and build the development of the state based on the most innovative approaches. It forces us to develop even more actively, considering the principles of sustainable development, environmental and social factors of great importance. We are now creating the agenda that will become a reality right after our victory. It will take into account the crucial role of foreign business in preserving Ukraine and its development. We are eliminating all the obstacles on this path right now and creating new rules that will give foreign business opportunities that they expect to see in Ukraine. This is the position of our society, this is the position of our government, this is the position of our president. New procedures are currently being developed to strengthen protection of our foreign investors in Ukraine alone, the preferences in legal sphere to protect their rights. The land market is being opened, along with the prospect of foreign investors in the agricultural sector. Previously, this seemed impossible, as Ukraine was moving from one crisis to another. But now all the priorities are set as clearly as possible. Foreign business in Ukraine is the key to its strength and stability in the future. Hence, everything will be done to bring it to our country. There will be a lot of construction, post-war reconstruction, and opportunities to introduce new technologies in Ukraine. And we are looking forward to the participation of foreign companies in this process. We are confident that this cooperation will be mutually beneficial and will bring great results for everyone. Ukraine needs international assistance on various levels today: weapons, finances, more sanctions against the aggressor, diplomatic and political solutions, greater determination and confidence of all our partners in our victory. Ukraine needs help, but speaking in business terms, it's a worthwhile investment, not only from the point of view of justice. Today you can help us, and tomorrow we will be able to help many other countries by ourselves. It only requires some time and the victory. Ukraine will definitely win, and it will definitely become a member of the EU and NATO. All the key obstacles preventing this are currently crumbling. However, our partners should start thinking today about where they would like to invest in the future Ukraine. A good investment is one that is well prepared in advance. And even during the crisis, there are still opportunities for growth. Foreign business that is the first to enter Ukraine will have huge advantages over those who will wait for too long. By looking at the advantages of Ukraine today, you are guaranteed to have greater opportunities than those who will start looking at it only after the war is over. Thank you for all your attention. Thank you for the great support from your countries. And if you have any questions, ideas, and would like to talk, I will be happy to talk and meet with you. Thank you.
Thank you very much, dear Madam Anna Purtova. Thank you very much for your coming to our summit. Şimdi Söz sırası Sayın Zamina Aliyeva'da. Sayın Zamina Aliyeva, Azerbaycan Enerji Bakan Yardımcısı. Buyurun Sayın Aliyeva.
Esteemed participants of the summit, ladies and gentlemen, allow me to extend my greetings to all of you. Being faithful to... Thank you. Being faithful to this mission, the Eurasian Economic Summit contributes to the joint discussion of pressing issues on the global agenda this time too. I would like to thank the Marmara Group Strategic and the Social Research Foundation for its continuous activities promoting dialogue and cooperation in Eurasia for many years. Dear participants, today radical changes are taking place in international security architecture and a new world order. Accordingly, a new energy order is being formed. The energy crisis, which began as a result of irrational policy concerning the energy transition and was further deepened by geopolitics, is the harbinger of a new energy order. In the context of such strong correlation between energy and the geopolitics, energy shortages, a long-term energy supply system disruptions, volatility in energy prices, and the changing map of oil and the gas flows are the indicators of the changing energy landscape. In such energy order dominated by geopolitics, the priority issue is energy security. It is no coincidence that energy transition process and the development of green energy are currently being highlighted more as an issue of energy security and the diversification of supply sources rather than climate neutrality. Over the last year, against the backdrop of turmoil in the energy markets, the European Union's strategy based on diversification of supply, development of renewable energy sources, and the energy efficiency has been effective in ensuring energy security. While the acknowledgement of natural gas as a transition fuel and the resurgence of interest in the trade of gas, thanks to the softening of harsh rhetoric, are positive signs, the risks remain strong. First of all, the view that energy transition should rapidly cut off dependence on hydrocarbons needs to change. Today's $100 trillion world economy depends on hydrocarbons for over 80% of its energy, and it is surreal to insist dependence on in a short time through highly ambitious political decisions. The turbulence that we were caught up in during the middle of 2021 is also clear evidence of it. If we consider the previous energy transitions, we can observe that this process occurred within a century or more, and they didn't completely squeeze out the existing technologies. Oil prevailed over coal as the world's largest energy source in the 1960s, but compared to the now, coal is used thrice more, and the global consumption reached a record level in 2022. Secondly, stimulating the decrease in gas demand shouldn't limit access to alternative supply sources. It appears that it is preferred to compensate for the supply gap by decreasing the gas demand. The total gas demand in the EU decreased by 13%, approximately 55 BCM in 2022. In January this year, the gas consumption decreased by 19% to 40 BCM. The decrease in gas demand today can make it difficult to finance the infrastructure, playing a strategic role in the diversification of Europe's energy supply by providing a negative signal for investors. Analysis shows that hydrogen and the renewable energy sources will be able to meet a large part of energy needs across the world only after 2050. Oil and gas will maintain their importance in the upcoming decades. Therefore, while increasing investment in green energy projects, it is also high time to think about the investment gap in the oil and gas sector. Otherwise, the stability in global energy markets may be only temporary, and we might face a more turbulent and unstable period ahead. If we look at the figures, we can see that investment in this area decreased from $890 billion in 2014 to $300 billion in 2020. Although the upstream investment increased by 10% to $380 billion in 2021, it is 20% less than pre-pandemic figure. The bottom line is that Ending the dependence on oil and the gas resources and their suppliers is not yet to achieve energy independence. Dependence on one source doesn't guarantee sustainable energy security, even if it is green energy. Thus, the simultaneous development of gas and renewable energy could be a solution to enforcing risks. Ensuring sustainable energy security is possible through achieving alternatives in energy supply. And Azerbaijan is a country that contributes to the diversification of Europe's energy supply today. Our contribution to Europe's energy security covers short, middle, and long-term periods. We successfully fulfilled our short-term mission in the critical period thanks to the Southern Gas Corridor, which is the fruit of our energy cooperation with Turkey. In the face of the energy crisis, TANAP and the TAP became a symbol of reliability in supply. Thanks to these projects, Azerbaijan and Turkey became strategic and reliable partners in ensuring sustainable energy security. So far, Turkey and Europe have been supplied with approximately 43 BCM of gas through TANAP and the TAP. TANAP is an infrastructure that plays a strategic role in the transformation of Turkey into a gas hub. Our enhanced strategic energy partnership with the European Union envisages the doubling of gas supply to Europe by 2027, which will be possible through the expansion of TANAP and the TAP. The development of the corridor is also among the provisions of the Shusha Declaration, which has elevated the brotherly and the friendly relations between Azerbaijan and Turkey to the level of an alliance. In the middle and the long-term periods, we are planning to supply Europe with green energy and the green hydrogen with a total capacity of more than 25 gigawatts through renewable energy projects. With foreign investors, for this purpose, one of the projects high on the agenda is the creation of the Azerbaijan-Turkey-Europe energy corridor via Nakhchivan. Another project is the realization of a green energy corridor starting from Azerbaijan and passing through the Caspian Black Sea Europe route together with Georgia, Romania, and Hungary. All this is yet another manifestation of the successful energy policy contributing to the energy and the environmental security of Azerbaijan's partners. We are very glad that since in 1994, we are working on this long path together with Turkey. All these projects that serve development and stability in Eurasia will enable an even stronger position of Azerbaijan, especially the Azerbaijan-Turkey energy partnership, in the regional and the global energy security architecture. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you so much, dear Madam Aliyeva. Now, I invite Madam Senida Messi. She is a former Deputy Prime Minister of Albania. Now, please, Madam Messi. Thank you.
Greetings, everybody, dear Excellencies, dear participants. Thank you very much for having me here, Dr. Rakan Suver. It's a pleasure. It's the second time for me being here. Unfortunately, the first time when we came here, we talked about the war in Ukraine, and it looks like the war is going on, and Ukrainians are still fighting about their freedom. This year, again, another, not by man, but by God or by nature, disaster happened in the border with Turkey and Syria. And I had the chance to talk with a lot of individuals and persons which really visited this country, because these cities is something else when you see in TV and something else once you visit them. To really share the suffering of the families because of the loss of their beloved ones and seeing devastated cities. So I would like really to put my condolences to the lives that this country lost, and hopefully we are stronger and become stronger for the future. Since pandemic, COVID-19 in 2020, we've been talking a lot about issues, problems, crisis, conflict rising. And definitely this is a message for all of us to really build up in the future much more resilient cities and much more resilient communities. Having this in mind, we need to think in terms of how we can build the future cities in terms of planning, even urban planning. According to UN, by 2015, 70% of population will live not in the villages or rural areas, they will live in cities. So this is becoming much more important to really think how we are going to build up the future cities so they become not simply resilient and easily to adapt into any kind of crisis that they can have, but to live in terms of good lives and saving planet and environment. We need to foster social connections between people and community, for sure. And last but not least, we need to think for developing emergency preparedness plans so people living especially in the areas which are identified that can have even future crises, can have flooding or droughts or earthquake and so on, they would need how to cope in case of something like this will happen. But let me go to one of the things that I think, not that I know better, but at least I've been investing a lot of time recently. In fact, with us, former politician, former professor, it's a little bit, tough to keep us in track in 5 minutes or 7 minutes, but I'll try to really brief, go to the sustainable economic growth. Economic growth, yes, we have been hearing. Sustainable economic growth, we need to think a little bit in much more long term. To build up economies which are resilient, which are adaptive, and they can adapt very fast, and then they are regenerative, so they can regenerate from their own resources, new resources, in order to promote future growth. And to do this, we need to invest a lot in green infrastructure, in renewable energy, and energy efficiency building. We need for sure to help SMEs, even micro-entrepreneurs, but in general entrepreneurs, because at the end of the day, they employ the biggest number of the employees. They are the one that face the first problems in case a crisis happens, in case a natural disaster or a conflict happens, but in the same time, they are the fastest to grow and to grasp really the innovation and to move further. We need to prioritize education and training. I cannot see a future country which doesn't have youth, which is well-trained, has new skills, and then they are investing into innovation. And definitely, it's very much important what we are doing even here, trying to collaborate with each other. Government must, it's a must. They need to collaborate with businesses, they need to collaborate with academia, but they need to collaborate even with civil society. At the end of the day, the professors know better to develop a policy paper or to make a research. Civil society and businesses are the ones that are active in terms of economic activities, and government has it much more easy to cooperate with all of these three segments, because at the end of the day it has ready-made policies and simply need to hear and then to work together. Meanwhile, going to the direction of sustainable finance, because we talk about how to grow and then to think in long term, but going back and making some cost estimations for the world to achieve sustainable developing goals, we need around $5 up to $7 trillion. It looks too much, but if we see how many of this money are really happening in investments worldwide, it's more than 200 trillion, but simply they don't go into the direction of sustainable development. Meanwhile, achieving sustainable developing growth is estimated to create $12 trillion as a possibility for investments and more than 380 million of new jobs. All we need to do is to create kind of infrastructures, policies, and taxonomies in order to direct the flow of investments, not simply to maximize the profit, but that have a social impact and a sustainable impact. In this case, we need to think in terms how to help even the banking system to really work together with central banks or supervisory authority, because they are nearby the SMEs and then they can help and foster the growth. As this year is the 100th anniversary of Republic of Turkey, I hereby congratulate the kindest and bravest people of Turkey on behalf of Albanian people, and may you prosper stronger and glorious always. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear Madam Senida. Thank you. Now, I invite Ambassador Jiang. Ambassador Jiang, Çin Halk Cumhuriyeti Yabancı Ülkelerle Dostluk Derneği ikinci başkanıdır. Welcome, dear Ambassador.
President Akan Suvar, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, thank you, Dr. Suvar, for your kind invitation, which gives me the opportunity to be back in the beautiful city of Istanbul and attend the 26th Eurasia Economic Summit. Allow me to extend, on behalf of the Chinese People's Association for Friendship with Foreign Countries, and also in my own name, heartfelt thanks to Dr. Suvar and the Marmara Foundation under his leadership for the great efforts in making this summit possible. At the outset, I would like to use this opportunity to express deep condolences to the families of the victims of the recent earthquake in Turkey, and I wish the injured speedy recovery. This is my first trip abroad since the COVID-19 pandemic struck. In the past few days, I met with many friends from the Middle East countries. They were keen to know what has happened in China in the past 3 years, as it has been quite some time since their last trips there. I suppose this is also a subject of high interest to many present today. So let me use this opportunity to give you an update on my country's development. Over the past few years, we were faced with a tough and intricate international environment, compounded by a myriad of risks and challenges. The Communist Party of China and the Chinese government rallied the Chinese people around a united and proactive response to the situation, and impressive advances were made in the country's economic and social development. First, a decisive victory was achieved in fighting the COVID-19 pandemic. Our guiding principle throughout the process is to put people first, put life first. Fighting the virus has been a collective effort by all people across the country. We adjusted and adapted the response policy as the virus evolved and successfully prevented broad-based spread of highly pathogenic virus strains. Many lives were saved and people's health was protected. For over 3 years, the COVID mortality rate in China remained the lowest in the world. This is not easy for a big, populous country like China, and it is no less than a miracle in the human history of battling pandemics. Second, absolute poverty was ended once and for all. In 2021, we made moderate prosperity, a long-held dream of the Chinese nation, a reality. In this process, nearly 100 million rural population were lifted out of poverty, and the poverty reduction goal in the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development was achieved 10 years ahead of schedule. As a big country with 1/5 of the world's population, China's achievement constitutes a major contribution to poverty eradication worldwide. Third, major achievements were made in economic development. Guided by the new development philosophy, we have pursued high-quality development by fostering a new development paradigm. China's economy grew by 4.5% annually in the past 3 years, way higher than the global average of 2%, and was in the lead among major economies. In 2022, China's economy continued to grow under pressures. GDP reached $17.8 trillion, a new historic high. As the world's second largest economy, China has become the major trading partner of more than 140 countries and regions, and has contributed more than 30% to global growth every year. The sustained and sound development of China's economy has been a strong force driving the recovery and growth of the world economy. Fourth, notable progress was made in the protection of the eco-environment. The concept that green is gold has become widely appreciated. With blue skies, large mountains, and lucid waters across the country, the Chinese people now enjoy more green benefits. In realizing the dual goals on carbon peaking and carbon neutrality, we will make the world's steepest cuts in the intensity of carbon emission and complete the process from carbon peaking to carbon neutrality in the shortest span of time. The world will become much greener because of China's green development. This is a win-win process for China and the world. These are just a few examples I wish to share with you here. There's so much more to my country's development. I hope you will come and visit to see firsthand the tremendous progress and change happening in China. Ladies and gentlemen, our world today is undergoing profound and complex changes, and the global community has a common task to promote the strong, sustainable, balanced, and inclusive growth of the world economy. Being in one community with a shared future, we must stand together in the trying times and join hands to pursue common development for win-win results. And I believe it is important that we do the following. First, we need to put high-quality development front and center. Development is the eternal theme of human society and the key to people's happiness. In 2021, Chinese President Xi Jinping put forward the Global Development Initiative, known as the GDI. The GDI follows a people-centered approach and takes the delivery of the UN 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development as its highest goal. Consistent with the needs of all parties, the GDI has been warmly received by the international community. China hopes to work with other countries to jointly implement the GDI to foster a development environment for shared prosperity that is balanced, coordinated, inclusive, and beneficial to all. Second, we need to build an open world economy. Economic globalization remains the trend of the times, and openness is the sure way towards the progress and prosperity of humanity. Protectionism is counterproductive, and decoupling and severing supply chains would harm both oneself and others. we must jointly uphold the WTO-centered multilateral trading regime, promote trade and investment liberalization and facilitation, keep global industrial and supply chains stable and smooth, and maintain the sound operation of the global financial system so as to achieve the recovery and growth of the world economy. Third, we need to spur development with scientific and technological innovation. Science and technology are the primary productive force. Scientific and technological innovation is an important engine for the development of human society and a powerful tool in meeting global challenges. As a new round of technological revolution and industrial transformation unfolds, new technologies and new forms of industry, such as the digital economy and artificial intelligence, have become the strong technical underpinning for economic and social development. We must seize the opportunities presented by such innovation, increase investment in scientific research and personnel training, and enhance international exchanges and cooperation to foster new drivers of economic growth. Fourth, we need to achieve harmony between man and nature. A Native American saying goes, "We do not inherit the earth from our ancestors. We borrow it from our children." Ecological environment is the foundation of human survival and development. Green development is what we owe to our children and grandchildren. We must actively meet the climate challenge, step up the effort towards a green and low-carbon transition, and pursue green recovery and development. We must advance international cooperation to jointly build a community of life for humanity and nature and make the vision of sustainable development a reality. Ladies and gentlemen, last year, the Communist Party of China held its 20th National Congress. A blueprint was drawn to build China into a modern socialist country in all respects and advance the rejuvenation of the Chinese nation on all fronts through a Chinese path to modernization. China will stick to its fundamental national policy of opening up in the interest of mutual benefit and bring new opportunities to the world with its development. China hopes to deepen win-win cooperation with other countries, advance high-quality Belt and Road cooperation, and promote the implementation of the Global Development Initiative. We will work together to improve the well-being of people in all countries and build a community with a shared future for mankind. We have full confidence in the future development of the world economy and believe that with the joint efforts of people from all countries, an inclusive and sustainable economic recovery will come true. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Ambassador Jian, for your kind speech. Şimdi Bosna Hersek Ticaret Odası Başkanı Sayın Vjekoslav Vukovic'i davet ediyorum. Now I invite Honorable Mr. Vjekoslav Vukovic, Chairman of the Chamber of Trade of the Bosnia-Herzegovina. Please.
Ladies and gentlemen, Your Excellencies, dear Mr. Akan, my friend. Dear friends of Marmara Forum, first of all, allow me to express my really deepest condolences and regret on my behalf and on behalf of Foreign Trade Chamber of Bosnia-Herzegovina due to a large number of victims on unfortunate earthquake that hit parts of Turkey. I heard today a lot of very good, impressive and motivating speeches I'm really delighted for that. But what about technology in New World Order? Let's hear about a few words. We all live in a time of transformation, business, processes, people, and digitalization itself, which is at most center of the heart of everything right now. It doesn't matter what companies do it, either insurance, healthcare, industrial production, it will eventually become a technological company. Digital transformation is not beginning, nor does it begin. It continues and it's already evolving. And it's not anymore a matter, is your company digitalized or not, which just is your company have got faced with competitiveness or not with digital world. Of course, in terms of development, there are companies that use artificial intelligence, machine learning, analysis of large data and huge data, and other formats of high intelligence, and which make decisions beyond the human capabilities, based on the processing of ocean-level information located on clouds using the 5G speeds. All those who automated business processes encounter distinct levels, high productivity and efficiency. Such companies become self-governing companies, while men become only the architect and designer of these environments and systems, which operated very independently. In the business world, digital transformation refers to everything from IT modernization to digital optimization and finding a new digital business models. Digital transformation allows an organization to become a digital native enterprise that supports innovation and complete digital development rather than improving already existing technologies and business models. This is exactly how the companies become more profitable and their market values increase at the same time. With introducing of digitalization, the business environment becomes more sensitive to all changes and allows them to respond to all changes in a timely manner before they become a problem. However, we wonder if new technological solutions bring jobs that have already been needed. For example, the analyst of the Association of German Chambers of Industry and Commerce shows that more than half of the companies have problems with filling jobs regarding staffing adequacy, and that the current vacancies rate is around 2 million. As a result, the losses of added value, which are measured of billions of euros, are also so large. The health sector, social service, the logistic industries, and the hospital industries, which is the base of the tourist offer, are particularly under attack. The lack of qualified forces, especially in the field of electromobility and renewable energy sources that we heard about a little bit, calls into the question in the competitiveness of this sector. This is a consequence of the age of society and important or unqualified workforce, as well as the lack of health and insurance workers. Obviously, in this world order, we are advocating for digitalization and decarbonization. We must add another D+, demography, because at the center of every business process is a person. Apart from the companies and governments around the world are taking big steps and hostility move towards the integration of new technologies. An example of leadership is Estonia, for example, which is a model of how countries can completely transform government activities, economy and society through a purposeful strategic program of digital society. For example, the European Commission states that soon 90% of jobs, such as accounting, engineering, medicine, art, architecture, and many others, will require a certain level of digital skills. And that is precisely how many countries are raising the level of their global competitiveness, increasing GDP, improving innovation, and creating new jobs. Today's many studies speak in favor of the positive relationship between technological penetration and our GDP in the countries. Why we speak today about general artificial intelligence and separate from the specialized artificial intelligence. The term specialized artificial intelligence refers to artificial intelligence that is designed to perform a single task. The term artificial general intelligence refers to a machine that can perform any intellectual task. All the artificial intelligence methods we use today belong to the field of specialized, while the general artificial intelligence is a part of the science fiction right now. On the other hand, Specialized artificial intelligence is making giant steps. Therefore, the lack of the willpower, empathy, and motivation continues to speak in favor of the fact that we will have to wait a long time for the so-called autonomy humanoid that thinks for itself, decided, propose a solution, and solve the problems without being a human in the backstage. So today, we talk about new world order. But in a digital world, don't forget about this, there are no borders. Because, as we can see, blockchain technologies, for example, connect us peer-to-peer. A relationship of trust, therefore also in the social dimension, while the digital world itself has no dementia or amnesia, because each to enter data becomes part of digital eternity. Technological development has multiplied the number of the data that we use today, processes, analyze them, so we are no longer able to, without computing networks, databases, as support systems and decision makings. If we consider machine learning, such systems offer much more complete and comprehensive analysis, but on the other hand, they do not analyze work in favor of those who create them. The reasons for this lies in the fact that width of the data taken in process in order to reach conclusions or decisions, which often deviate from the goals set by their creator. An interesting question arises: how the hybrid superintelligence will resolve mutual conflicts, how they resolve the goals, make decisions. For example, people are prone to conflicts of opinion, interests, and yet their goals solve the problems and make decisions by their own, also resolve it in favor of their own. We wonder if development of technology went much faster, exceeding the needs of man, the planetary balance, without legal regulation, without any rules and possibility of control, and now already begin a dimension out of control due to unlimited and limited possibilities of understanding it by its creator, a man. The fear lies in the fact that deep ignorance about this matter becomes a subject to the directive of its creators, who, by imposing the rules of modern technological and adaptive linguistical terrifying vocabulary, digital euro, crypto assets, blockchain security, and so on, precisely cause the case of acceptance and blind belief as well. Your doctor prescribed the medicine just to solve the problem. Keeping these technologies with any level of regulation make them servants in the service of humanity. But succumbing to the fear of ignorance, hidden knowledge, non-public communication about possible problems, the rules of these tools creators are accepted, which lead them to autonomous systems of unlimited networking possibilities and the formation of so-called superintelligence or coalition intelligence that will escape any control. In the end, digital transformation must also have a creation plan and roadmap in order to use the business architecture to achieve top results, and that can be designed by man himself. The very man who creates economic security also destroys it. Economic security actually makes it possible for people, consumers, to consistently satisfy their own needs. In order to secure it, we must suppress all phenomena that lead to market instability, while the digital world helps us to predict these phenomena in order to suppress them in a timely manner. Thus, at the one time, we calculated that is not the amount of energy produced that is important, but the number of consumers or services that it needed. This stability is one of the causes of economic stability, and in this case, in energy and digital dialogue. Today, we are living in a new world digital order. And in this context, it is necessary to raise awareness of its importance as well as its controlling, because it is more than important not to become victims of our own technological revolution, and that it serves us for the benefit of humanity, as we shown during the time of the pandemic, and not to become our new masters. So, digital legal hygiene in line with ethics of new order is more than needed right now. So, thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, dear Mr. Vukotic, for your kind speech. Now, I invite former Prime Minister of Moldova, His Excellency Kirill Gaburici. Sayın Kiril Gaburici, Moldova önceki başbakanıdır.
Excellencies, first of all, I would like to start with thanking to Akan Suver and his excellent team for organizing this event. And I would like also to thank to all the participants that make it happen and manage to come and to be present at today's event. The topic of today's panel is the new world order, the effects of the new world order, and especially in the light of the last things that happened in the last few years, I would say that this is something very important that all of us should be able to get involved and to try to solve this complex and interrelated issue related to the defective operation of the supply chains, related to the technology that is growing in the last year so fast, and to the energy problems that we are facing this period of time. First of all, if talking about new order, as His Excellency Kolodko mentioned that that's not an order, but it's a house, I would call it disorder. And the fact is that the world changed a lot in the last few years, and it started with the end of the Cold War. Then some other events happened, and we managed to see in the last 3 years COVID happening when we were in the situation to close maybe for the period of time some of the countries. And also today we are facing the war. But this war is happening in the heart of Europe, I would say. And with today's technology, what is happening over there, everybody who has a mobile phone connected to the internet can see, basically can monitor what is happening over there in online regime. This reality is not only destruction in terms of houses, villages, cities, killing, which is a very sad fact, but it's also about refugees. In today's case, we have around 7-8 million Ukrainians that left their country. I'm not talking even about the Ukrainians that dislocated internally within the Ukraine. We, in Republic of Moldova, we also managed to receive some of the refugees from Ukraine. Through Moldova, it passed around 1 million refugees, stayed with us from 70 to 100,000 refugees. We are witnessing some changes. We are witnessing the rise of the new power, or the new powers, and we are seeing the decline of the old ones. The grow in the economic models of some, or the creation of the new economic models, and we see some of the destruction of the old ones, and we are seeing the development of the new technologies that is transforming our day-to-day life. All these changes are having a big impact on the way we do business, on the way we live, and the way we behave ourselves in the society. If to talk about the effects or global effects of the war, I can say that this has an impact on the global economy, both by affecting the flow of energy, and second, by affecting the prices for fossil oils, but also it has an impact on the prices for food and fertilizers. As a result, the food prices went up, and today we have a big risk of insecurity, food insecurity, for the poor countries of the world. We know that both Ukraine and Russia used to be the major exporters of wheat. Last year we saw that with the mediation of Turkey and the United Nations, a temporary arrangement were negotiated to allow the Ukrainian shipments of grains through the Black Sea. But we are in the war process and we never know what is going to happen. The risk is high of potential escalation or spillover. I was mentioning about the energy sector. This is another sector that has seen some destabilization.
Suddenly, the discussions and negotiations about energy started in many places of the world. We know, again, that Russia used to be the primary supplier of energy to Europe. In this context, the European Union started to look for partnerships, new partnerships. European Union is looking for a trustful partner with whom they can apply and supply the energy to the European Union. And today, we see that there is a commitment from the European Union to work with Azerbaijan on expanding the Southern Gas Corridor. The aim is to double the gas supplies from Azerbaijan to the European Union. And this is laying out the good, strong foundation of new partnership between Azerbaijan and the EU. Another significant implication of the new global order is the global supply chains. For years, we have companies that used to work in one way to receive the products from all around the world. We saw that just a pandemic period, everything destabilized and everything changed. We saw that the system maybe was fragile. We have to create or to find a solution for the new system. Many companies now are simply rethinking their way of doing business or their way of supply chains, even to move the production totally in their home countries. The war in Ukraine has also disturbed the trade routes and supply chains of my country, which is today affected in a way by the availability, affordability of goods and services. More than that, with the political instability, the security concerns in the regions, we have created a very unclear message for the potential investors that is now more harder for them to come and to invest, to take a decision to come and invest in the Republic of Moldova. And that is, of course, affecting our home economy. Technologies. Normally, when we talk about technologies, we talk about something good, something better, and something that can ease our life. This was always a change, a good change. But the pace that we see the technologies are advancing these days is a little bit bringing also some destabilization, because it's very important to understand that technologies are bringing together with them some challenges such as cyber security risks or data privacy risks, or the need to upskill your employees. It is essential that we all together work towards a peaceful resolution to these conflicts and create a stable environment in order to foster the economical growth and the prosperity for all the countries on the world. What needs to be done in order to face these changes and to succeed in the new order? First, we need to make sure that we have the peace. We have the peace in Ukraine and we have the peace all around the world with its new security architecture. Second, I think it is important to know that the economical evolution should be present in order to be able to stop some other challenges that may happen to us. And we were talking today about climate change, about food security, and about investments that we need in health, and of course investments that we need in education. And third, we need to revise all means for ethics, democracy, human rights, and human security. If we would talk about business part, what needs to be done in the new world order, I think we need to accept the challenges and the changes, and we need to find a way to adapt ourselves to these circumstances as fast as possible. Second, we need to continue to invest in people. We need to upskill and reskill our employees and the workforce in order to be able to accept and access these challenges. And third, we need to cooperate and collaborate with others, and we should know that no one can succeed alone in the new world order. What we need to work together across the borders, across the sectors, and to find solutions that together we can face them. In conclusion, it's clear that we need a cooperation. Important thing is peace, and by working together only we can create a better future for our next generations. And as His Excellency Akan Suver mentioned at his opening speech today, we need an open and honest dialogue in whatever we are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, dear Prime Minister Gaboruchi. Thank you very much for your kind speech. Şimdi söz sırası Kuzey Makedonya'da Devlet Bakan Yardımcısı Sayın Cabir Doko'yu davet ediyorum. I invite His Excellency Cabir Doko, Deputy Minister of State of North Macedonia. Tebrikler, teşekkürler.
Marmara Grubu Vakfı'nın çok değerli başkanı Sayın Doktor Akan Süver, vakıfın değerli yöneticileri ve üyeleri, kıymetli misafirler, hepinizi sevgi ve saygıyla selamlıyorum. 22 Eylül 1923 tarihinde Mustafa Kemal Paşa bir Viyana gazetesine verdiği bir demeçte ilk defa Cumhuriyet kavramını net bir şekilde kullanmış ve uzun süre tasarladığı bu hayali dünya ile paylaşırken herkesi bir hayli heyecanlandırmıştı. Hiç şüphe yok ki Türkiye Cumhuriyeti Devleti'nin kurulması ile birlikte Türklerin ezelden beri genlerinde ve kolektif hafızalarında taşıdıkları devletçilik anlayışı da yaşamaya devam edecekti. Fakat aynı zamanda yeni kurulacak olan devlet, yıkılmış olan Osmanlı İmparatorluğu'ndan geriye kalan birçok sorun ve yükü de sırtlanmakla yükümlüydü. Bunun üstesinden gelmek hiç de kolay görünmüyordu. Ve bu konuda muvaffak olmanın anahtarı sadece üstün bir vizyondan geçebilirdi. İşte burada bir kez daha büyük lider Mustafa Kemal Atatürk'ün eşsiz dehası devreye girmiş ve demokratik, laik, sosyal ve hukuk devleti kimliklerinin esas alındığı Türkiye Cumhuriyeti fikrini hayata geçirmenin ne kadar önemli olduğunu herkesten önce sezmişti. İlk başta ezber bozan bir fikir olarak beliren Cumhuriyet ideali aslında taşıdığı değerler ve ilkeler ile Türk milletinin karakter yapısına hitap etmekle kalmayıp aynı zamanda Türk ulusunun bir kez daha şahlanıp gelişmekte olan modern dünya ile yeniden her alanda rekabet edecek bir mantalite, kalite ve potansiyele ulaşmasını sağlayacak en kusursuz yöntemdi. 29 Ekim 1923'te Türkiye Büyük Millet Meclisi'nin egemenlik kayıtsız şartsız milletindir ilkesiyle ilan ettiği Türkiye Cumhuriyeti, kuşkusuz ki Türk ulusu açısından bir dönüm noktasıdır. Fakat daha geniş bir perspektiften bakacak olursak, Türkiye Cumhuriyeti'nin kuruluşu hem bölge coğrafyası hem de Balkanlar açısından hayati öneme sahiptir. Ve bu geniş alanda son 100 yılda kurulan bütün devletleri kültürel, siyasi, ekonomik ve ticari anlamda derinden etkilemiştir. Ve bu bölgenin kalkınmasına ve gelişmesine her anlamda yön vermeye devam etmektedir. Balkanlar ile Türkiye'nin tarihi ve kültürel bağlarla birbirine sımsıkı bağlı olması ve bu coğrafyada Osmanlı egemenliğinden sonra kurulan hemen hemen bütün devletlerde azımsanmayacak düzeyde Türk nüfusunun bulunması, Türkiye Cumhuriyeti'nin kurulduğu andan itibaren Balkanlara yönelik aktif bir şekilde politikalar üretmesine neden olmuştur. Fakat daha önemli bir husus, Türkiye Cumhuriyeti'nin bu politikaların hayata geçirilmesinde Balkanlara dönük her daim samimi bir yaklaşım sergilemiş ve komşuları ile bölge devletlerine yönelik yayılmacı amaçlar gütmeyen bir dış politika inşa etmiş olmasıdır. Bu tutum hem İkinci Dünya Savaşı'ndan önce hem de savaş sonrası dönemde devam etmiştir. Öyle ki bu barışçıl tavır özellikle de sürekli savaş ve yıkım ile boğuşan Balkanlarda yapıcı bir denge rolünü üstlenmiştir. Ve hiç şüphe yok ki daha Cumhuriyet'in ilk yıllarından itibaren hayata geçirilmeye başlanan ilke ve değerler Balkan devletlerine de ilham olmuş, değerli bir örnek teşkil etmektedir. Osmanlı İmparatorluğu döneminde 15. yüzyıldan itibaren Balkanların güneyine Rumeli ismi verilmiştir. Veya eski tabirle Avrupa'yı Osmani ya da Rumeli'yi Şahane, Osmanlı'nın Avrupa'ya açılan kapısı. Osmanlı'nın Avrupa'ya açılan kapısı olan bu bölge yapmış olduğu kültürel ve eğitim yatırımı ile Rumeli'nin ne kadar da kritik bir öneme sahip olduğunu net bir şekilde göstermektedir. Rumeli, aydın ve progresif kişilerin diyarı haline gelmiştir. Ve her zaman olduğu gibi tarih yeniden tekerrür etmiş, modern Türk devleti yani Türkiye Cumhuriyeti fikri Rumeli'nin bağrından kopan başta Mustafa Kemal Atatürk ve o dönemin aydın isimleri tarafından yoğrulmuş ve doğru bir zamanlama ile hayata geçirilmiştir. Dolayısıyla modernleşme hareketinin asıl merkezi olan Rumeli'nin çağdaş Türkiye Cumhuriyeti'nin kurulmasında oynamış olduğu başrol bugün Balkanlarda hayatlarını sürdüren tüm biz Türkler için ayrı bir gurur ve kıvanç olmaya devam etmektedir. Geçmişten gelen bu sorumluluğu yaşatmak için bize ilham vermeyi de sürdürüyor. Bugün başta Kuzey Makedonya olmak üzere bütün Balkan devletleri Türkiye Cumhuriyeti ile fevkalade siyasi, iktisadi ve kültürel ilişkiler içinde hareket edip uluslararası işbirliğini her geçen gün daha da ileri noktalara taşımaya devam ediyorsa hiç şüphe yok ki Rumeli ve Cumhuriyet değerlerinin ortak unsurlarının son derece köklü bir organik bağa sahip olmasının katkısı muazzam düzeydedir. Yetişen yeni neslin de bu bilinç ile hareket etmesi ve sadece romantik fikirlerle yetinmeyip bir de reel anlamda hamlelerde bulunması sevindirici bir kazanımdır. Bu bağlamda bir Rumeli Türk'ü olarak başta Türkiye Cumhuriyeti'nin kurucusu Ulu Önder Mustafa Kemal Atatürk olmak üzere tüm silah arkadaşlarını, şehit ve gazilerimizi saygı, rahmet, minnet ve şükranla anıyor. Türkiye Cumhuriyeti'nin 100. yılını en içten duygularımla kutluyorum. Başarı dolu nice yüzyıllar diliyorum. Çok teşekkürler.
Değerli Cabir Bey kardeşim, güzel konuşmanız için size teşekkür ediyoruz. Temennilerinize de ayrıca minnetlerimizi sunuyoruz. Şimdi söz sırası Kosova'da. Kosova'nın yıllarca Kamu Bakanlığı'nı ve Çevre Bakanlığı'nı yapan değerli arkadaşımız Mahir Yağcılar Beyefendi'yi davet ediyorum. Sayın Yağcılar.
Saygıdeğer katılımcılar, Sayın Divan, Sayın Başkan Hakan Suver ve değerli Marmara Vakfı üyeleri, tekrardan sizlerle güzel İstanbul'da beraber olmaktan büyük mutluluk ve memnuniyetimi ifade etmek istiyorum. Geleceğimize ışık tutan, barışı ve dostlukları perçinleştiren bu zirve toplantıları her yıl ve her seferinde bizlere yeni ufuklar açıp hayata dair insanlık açısından yeni umutlar yaratmaktadır. Bu vesileyle Marmara Vakfı'nı tebrik eder, daha nice zirveler dilerim. Konuşma başlıklarına geçmeden önce bir ay önce Kahramanmaraş depreminde hayatını kaybedenlere Allah'tan rahmet, yaralananlara acil şifalar dilerim. Türkiye'mize büyük geçmiş olsun. Bu büyük afet olayından sonra dünyanın tüm bölgelerinden sunulan yardım ve dayanışmalar tüm zorluklar ve ayrışmalara, yani dünyadaki zorluklar ve ayrışmalara rağmen dünyamızda yine de insanlığın, iman ve inancın, dayanışma ve dostluğun ne kadar önemli olduğunu hepimize hatırlatmıştır. Bu dayanışma içerisinde bizler Kosova Devleti olarak, Kosova'da yaşayan Kosovalı Türkler olarak da bulunduğumuzdan dolayı payımız küçük olsa bile yardım katkılarımızı sunabildiğimizden dolayı Türkiye'nin acısını acımız olarak paylaştığımızdan dolayı enkaz kurtarma olaylarında sevgi duygularını ortak yaşadığımızı ve hissettiğimizi ifade etmek istiyorum. Tekrardan büyük geçmiş olsun, Türkiye'nin başı sağ olsun. Saygıdeğer katılımcılar, yaşadığımız ve şahit olduğumuz Covid-19 ve Ukrayna Savaşı dünyamızın yeni bir sürece girdiğinin habercisidir. Küreselleşme yeni bir yön almış, ekonomik kalkınma parametreleri değişmeye başlamış. Teknolojik gelişmeler yeni ve hayal edemediğimiz hali almaya başlamıştır. Ancak tüm bu gelişmeler olumlu olsa bile yeni ayrışmalara, yeni dengesizlik ve eşitsizliklere de neden olmaktadır gibi algısı vardır. Mutlaka bu yeni düzeyde yeni buluşlara ihtiyaç vardır. Daha güçlü teknoloji yeniliklere, daha güçlü dijitalizasyon ve yapay zeka imkanlarına ihtiyaç görülmektedir. Ancak bu gelişmelerle ve kurulmakta olan yeni düzende eşitsizlik parametreleri, dünya doğa varlığı ve özellikle gıda toprakları ve işletmesi, tarım alanlarının koruması ve sürdürülebilir döngüsü sağlanılmazsa bu yeni düzen dünyayı ve insanlığı korkarım zor bir sınav içerisine sokacaktır. Gıda eksikliği ve pahalılığı, iklim değişiklikleri ve gelir eşitsizliği yeni göçlere, yeni arayışlara ve ne yazık ki yeni savaşlara yelken açma ihtimali büyüktür. Maalesef her yeni savaş ise küresel tehdit olan nükleer silahlanmayı ve hatta kullanmayı ilk başta akla getirmektedir. Dolayısıyla edinen tecrübe ve yapılan analizlere göre eğer dünyamızın yaşanabilecek, insanlığı mutlu edebilecek bir yer olmasını istiyorsak öncelikle barış ve dostluğa önem vermemiz gerekir. Bu hususları sağlamak için kaçınılmaz olan yatırımlar ve çalışmaların yapılması gerekmektedir. Teknoloji ve bilime, yapay zeka ve dijitalizasyon yatırımlarının elbette yapılması gerekir. Elbette dünya yeni buluşlar ve ekonomik kalkınmayla sürdürülebilirliğini sağlayabilir. Ancak bu yatırımların bir o kadarı da tarım alanlarına, gıda üretimine, doğal kaynakların korunmasına, insanlar arasındaki gelir eşitsizliklerin azaltılmasına dair çalışmalar ve yatırımlar olarak yapılmalıdır. Tarım topraklarının, doğa kaynaklarının, insan kaynaklarının tükenmiş olan bir dünyada gelişmiş ve kalkınmış teknolojiyle bile yaşam sürdürülebilirliğini sağlama konusunda büyük zorluklar çeker ve dünyanın geleceğiyle ilgili riskler artmış olabilir. Tarım ürünleri, gıda güvenliği, su kaynakları, iklim değişikliğinin korunması, gelir eşitsizliğinin azaltılması dünyamızın geleceği açısından temel unsurlardır. Hiçbir toplum, hiçbir devlet bu benim sorunum değildir diyemez, dememelidir. Bu ortak temel değer unsurlar üzerine teknoloji, bilim ve ekonomik kalkınma inşa edilmelidir ve yeni düzen kurulmalıdır diye düşünüyorum. Bu anlamda bu yılki zirvenin yani 26. Marmara Vakfı Ekonomi Zirvesi'nde bu konular üzere önemli görüşlere ve düşüncelere yer verildiğinden ve açıklandığından dolayı yani yeni ve daha güzel bir dünya düzeninin kurulması için önerilerin sunulduğundan dolayı kendimi daha umutlu ve mutlu hissettiğimi ifade etmek istiyorum. Marmara Grubu Vakfı'nın dünya geleceği ve geleceğimiz için yaptığı bu zirve toplantıları ve çalışmalarından dolayı tekrardan tebrik ediyor. Türkiye Cumhuriyeti'nin anavatanımızın da 100. yılını tebrik ediyor. Hepinize saygı ve sevgilerimi sunuyorum.
Teşekkür ediyorum Mahir Beyefendi. Güzel sözlerinize, kıymetli düşüncenize minnettarız. Now I invite from Fofal, Mr. Arthur Usiyev. Yes, Arthur. Young generation. Young generation.
Dr. Ankar Sofer and Dr. Hong. Dear Dr. Hong and dear Dr. Ankar Sofer, dear distinguished guests today, I'm Arthur from Fopal. Thank you for having me to speak our youth voice in this summit. Since the outbreak of the COVID-19 pandemic, there have been many changes over the past 3 years. And these new changes have both positive and negative changes on humanity. We also cannot ignore that the natural disasters, such as floods, droughts, and earthquakes that have occurred around the world. The Earth's environment is undergoing drastic changes, and it is heading towards deterioration. As a result of external environment and mutual influence, people's emotions have become unstable, and we are no longer as tolerant or understanding of different cultures or opinions. This is the current state of the Earth, where the imbalance between the inner of humanity and outer environment has led to various problems to our planet. Again, dear all distinguished today, you are all leaders with huge influence in your respective countries and fields. And I'm confident that the summit in these few days will bring forth good ideas through mutual inspiration. As the next generation of our planet, I would like to take this special occasion to share what I have learned on my journey of love and peace, and how to be the spark that inspires others. I want to share you with 3 points: culture, conscience, and keep the pure heart. Firstly, cultural exchange. In 2017 and 2018, Dr. Hong and Fopal volunteers visited the city halls, cultural and educational bureaus of local countries in Eastern Europe and the Balkan Peninsula, and had face-to-face discussions with government officials on how to establish a peaceful and stable nation for the people. During a meeting with the Speaker of the Kosovo Assembly, the speaker mentioned that in the last century, we experienced 5 wars, and each conflict between world ethnic groups greatly hindered Kosovo's development. Therefore, it is essential to emphasize the importance of peace, diversity, and multiculturalism, so that people of different ethnicities can respect each other and have a culture of love and peace deeply rooted in their hearts. And I also want to mention that Dr. Hong responded him. Dr. Hong said that by exchanging cultures and learning from each other's strengths and advantage, a country can prosper. A good country can nurture quality education, and quality education can promote healthy economic development. I believe that cultural exchange can bring together positive cultures, and when positive energy merges with each other, it can have a positive impact on the world. In 2019, I participated in a cultural exchange activity in Siberia. And most of the local residents could only speak Russian, and we could only speak English. So imagine that, how we can communicate when we couldn't understand each other's language. But I think this is actually the essence of the cultural exchange. To feel the true, to feel the good, and to feel the beauty of each other's cultures. I remember feeling very shy and awkward when I first tried their local social dance, because the dance moves involve holding hands with a stranger for the first time. And however, when I feel their passion and responding with the same attitude, I only feel the integration of different cultures and the energy of sharing our joy and our happiness with each other. Second, good culture comes from a good heart, which is known as our conscience. A conscience can overcome barriers of race, color, and language. I also served as a host, activity host for an event in Siberia. Before going on stage, I only have one thought in my mind. I think that I want to spread good thought to everyone, to all the audience. This natural thought made my heart very calm, and the words I wanted to say came out naturally. I could also observe the audience reaction and their facial expressions, and I reacted accordingly as if my heart was leading the whole event and telling me what to do. Although some people couldn't understand the language and required translation in Russian, I can tell my words and body language conveyed my intention directly to everyone's heart. As a result, some audience, they laughed happily and even danced happily. The first 2 points mentioned above how cultural exchange can gather positive energy and how good culture comes from our conscience. Today, I want to share with you the last point, which is how to have a pure heart. In the midst of our busy daily lives, how long has it been since we've taken a good look at our own hearts? Have you ever been observing it carefully? Is it look like white, or look like gray, or look like black? Every day, please take a minute to reflect on your day. Did you have any observed outbursts of anger or any moments of excessive worry or nervous? Did you have moments of joy or maintain positive thinking? Please help yourself maintain positive energy in your heart. While visiting the Hagia Sophia, I learned that Muslims, they pray 5 times a day. If I could reflect on my heart 5 times a day, think that I could have 5 opportunities to adjust and change myself in a better way. At last, as a member of the global community, besides smile, prayer is also our common language. Please also take a minute to pray for the world. I would like to introduce you the Declaration of World Prayer Day. It says that good-hearted prayer, sincere good deeds, love-based wishes, world peace. Only when we have words in our heart can we consciously think about how we can help this world, discover our own shortcomings, and then improve ourselves. What's even more important is that our good and bad thoughts will also lead different results to our planet, to this world, and to the next generations. Thank you.
Thank you, young man. Very good ideas. Thank you. Thank you. Now I invite from Bulgaria the president of the Slavyani Foundation, Professor Dr. Zahari Zaharyev. Sayın Zahari Zaharyev, Bulgaristan'da Slav Vakfı'nın başkanıdır. Yes, sir.
Dear Dr. Suver, dear friends from Marmara Foundation, dear friends and colleagues. After so good speech rich with big optimism, I will speak about something what is not so optimistic, because I will speak about our present days. And the present days, the current international situation is characterized by growing instability, which contributes to the expansion of the scale of terrorism and radical extremism. The intensification of crisis phenomena in the world economy and the intensification of the struggle for energy and other resources, COVID-19 and its consequences, and the call to war turning into a hot one only lifted the curtain of the crisis processes that began long ago in all areas of public relations, from the increasingly severe social imbalances and the inability of healthcare system to respond to the needs of society through the devastating role in running the state of market liberalism as a balancer of public interest, to the pending tectonic shifts of the geopolitical layers of economic security and, no less important, of ecological balance of the planet. However, all these stumbling blocks in the development, no matter how different at first glance the crisis situation appear, have one common root. Existing social relations have reached the limit of their civilizational adequacy. The new phase of the historical development, the outskirts of in which humanity is approaching, definitely requires a new social contract. All this causes an increasingly sharp confrontation between the objectively necessary social changes and the status quo of power associated with dominant centuries-old interests. The coronavirus pandemic practically signals an open clash of the forces driving these two trends. One of the paradoxes of the situation is that the forces of the status quo really in the situation of mechanisms of state power under their control. COVID-19 has become a convenient excuse to increase its repressive functions. The influenza pandemic has grown in the pandemic of authoritarianism, and the ever-increasing game with nationalism has become a tool to counteract the objective processes of internationalization. Hence the sharp turn in the attitude of the ruling elites towards globalization as an engine of development. Its core created in the context of the transition that global problems require global answers is becoming increasingly difficult to fit into the narrow confines of their selfish ambitions to power. Unfortunately, the very fact of the weakness of many states just makes them an attractive sphere for conflicting clashes in the interest of the geopolitical forces. This is manifested in their economy, in their politics, and eventually in military conflicts, including in the form of civil war. This is not happening without the intervention of today's factors in its connected with the efforts of this so-called West to destabilize their states, separate them from Russia, use their inability to independently implement major integration projects related to Russia. Everything is very complicated there, and in my opinion, it's very important that Russia gets back on its feet and defends its claims more confidentially. The fact is that it is a great state and superpower and not a regional power, as they tried to present in some capitals of the Western world. It is a great force and should influence world processes. Russian leaders have no other choice. Such images went on to search of nationalism and various radical political movements. Why nationalism? Why do people search for some kind of stability? Well, it could be find it, and here comes the social reflex. The best defender of their interests is the national state. That is why more and more people cling to nationalism, patriotism, and try to use them as a saving barriers to get out of this crucial situation. And this trend is manifested today everywhere in the world. Under its pressure, the ideas of nationalism are perceived more and more in mass propaganda by both right and left parties. National populism is becoming part of our daily routine. Therefore, despite the uncertainty of the situation, we can definitely say one thing. Today's military confrontation, its global course marks not only a turning point for our social, cultural, and political life, but also for international relations, for all integration communities, and for the all global network of economic and political institutions that more or less maintain world security. The economic crisis processes the forced wars and heralding new geostrategic and geopolitical cataclysm to the poor economic circumstances and the traditional raw material contradictions, all other global problems of our time come to the fore as difficult to resolve conflict knots. Instead of uniting the efforts of humanity towards greater harmony and security, they, in contrast to the normal logic, draw more and more new dividing lines in other matters. This, for its part, fits national selfishness, imperial arrogance, and religious intransigence. The lack of adequate tools, to the same time, the most inhuman factor in international relation, the politics of force. From an isolated phenomenon, military conflicts are beginning to turn into a daily routine. In due time, this leads to a chain reaction of large-scale regional military conflicts. Against this background, the ideological and practical impotency of the United Nations is becoming more and more clear. Everything that has been said so far, no matter how schematic it may be, gives me reason to conclude that today the world is more and more tangibly in a need of a new paradigm of its development. This paradigm should be built on the one hand on the reformulation of the sacred for the past concept of economic growth, and on the other hand, on the new boundaries of our ideas for a sustainable development. The direction in which answers to these fundamental questions should be sought is not much in the field of poor economics, but in the social structure of the society, in its higher morality and ethics. For millions of Europeans, the time has come to abandon the so-called New World Order in which negligible of part of humanity will have not right to decide for everyone the issues of life and death, and the rest of the population has only one thing left: to obey. Liberal democracy, the last stronghold of the so-called Western civilization, which along which human rights was the only value that differed from the power of money, has already suffered irreparable damage. So, where is the way out of this situation? The exit was pointed out by one person born more than 200 years ago, and his name is Karl Marx. He wrote that a political crisis is a crisis of the impossibility of the peaceful transition in a new socio-political state. This is a moment when society, ordinary people, do not want to live in the old way, but the political elites also cannot govern as before. Thus, we come to the state that requires that we should, as he said, Marx, destroy this world. And what does that mean? It means that we must move into a new civilizational state. We must understand that an alternative on the basis of the existing status quo is impossible, that the destruction of this world and the formation of new state of society are objectively required. And this means that we have reached the turning point of the need for a new social agreement, a new social contract that means to build a new world and new society at the expense of the world in which we live today. And realizing the need for a new initiatives that can unite all sound forces for the sake of peace of earth, we need radical changes in the field of the international collaboration. At the basis of these changes, we must also put the question of building a new system of international communication, erected on the foundation of new principles of international law. The old international law is dead. And such an approach will be a positive reflection of the constructive development of the peaceful dialogue between peoples. The new system of international law should provide opportunities to better understand each other, to look at national traditions, to preserve spiritual and family values. It should provide an opportunity for mutual search for solution to many issues of the spiritual renewal of the society, which ultimately acquire a global character. And at the end, I will say that such kind of initiatives, like the initiatives of Dr. Suver, of our friends from Marmara Foundation, also by many non-governmental organizations, are very, very positive, because we are now in the turn point of, let me say, of a new rulement of the society. One of the phases of the crisis, this is the real crisis of the level of the leadership in our present world. That's about we, as citizens of this world, must take the initiative in our hands. And I think that such people like Dr. Suver, who is in the reality ambassador of peace, he is doing so many things around the world, well, are very, very needed. That's about let us be together and let our voice will be much more stronger, much more useful, and change many things just for this new order that we all need. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, dear Professor Zahariev. Thank you. Şimdi Kuzey Makedonya'ya geçiyoruz. Çalışma Bakan Yardımcısı, değerli dostum Sayın Enver Hüseyin'i kürsüye davet ediyorum. Sayın Hüseyin, buyurunuz efendim.
Teşekkürler. Sayın Başkan, hanımefendiler, beyefendiler, saygıdeğer Hazirun. Sizleri ilk önce sevgi, saygı ve muhabbetle selamlıyorum. Ben Deniz, Başkan'ın da söylediği gibi Kuzey Makedonya'dan geliyorum ve Çalışma ve Sosyal Politikalar Bakan Vekilliği görevini yapmaktayım. Malumunuz, biliyorsunuz Makedonya'da resmi dil Makedoncadır ve Arnavutça. Ancak uluslararası platformda Makedonca veyahut da İngilizce hitap edilmektedir. Ben yüksek müsaadenizle kendi ana vatanımda bir soydaşınız, bir kardeşiniz olarak kendi ana dilimde Türkçe hitap etmek istiyorum. Konuşmama başlamadan önce ben de fırsattan faydalanarak öncelikle Türkiye'nin birçok bölgesinde meydana gelen depremden dolayı derin üzüntü içinde olduğumuzu bildirmek isterim. Kuzey Makedonya Devleti ve vatandaşları olarak acınızı yürekten paylaştığımızı bildirir ve hayatını kaybeden vatandaşlarımıza da Allah'tan rahmet, yaralı olanlara da acil şifalar dilerim. Makedonya'da yaşayan kardeşleriniz olarak Türk Devleti'ne ve Türk milletinin her daim yanında olduk, olmaya da devam edeceğiz. Ayrıca bugün burada bizleri bir araya getiren Başkan Sayın Hakan Süer Bey'e teşekkür eder. Sizleri de en içten duygularımla saygıyla tekrar selamlıyorum. Makedonya hükümetinde Çalışma ve Politikalar Bakanlığı'ndan bazı bilgileri paylaşmak istiyorum. Bilindiği üzere yakın zamanda atlattığımız COVID-19 sebebiyle birçok alanda zorluklar yaşamaktayız. Önce pandemi, şimdi de enerji ve ekonomik krizi vatandaşların, özellikle de dar gelirli vatandaşların yaşam standartlarını tehdit eden yeni zorluklar getirdi. Dünya borsasındaki bu tür eğilimler Kuzey Makedonya'da da iç ekonomiyi ve iç fiyatları da etkilemiştir. Pek çok belirsizlikten dolayı son derece çalkantılı bir dönemde yaşadığımızın farkındayız. Kuzey Makedonya hükümet ekonomi enerji krizinin sonuçlarını ve enerji fiyatlarındaki yüksek oynaklığı ve güçlü büyümeyi azaltmak için nüfusun dar gelirli gruplarını hedefleyen bir dizi hızlı ve geçici önlem aldı. Ekonomik krize yönelik hükümet tarafından alınan önlem paketinde başta emekliler ve değişik kategoride dar gelirli aileler, engelliler, işsizler, maddi güvenlik yasasına göre maddi destek alma hakkına sahip olan ya da iflas etmiş bireyler ve sosyal güvenlik hakkında bulunan yaşlılara yönelik destek paketlerimiz açıklanmıştır. Böylece bu paketlerden 330 bin emekli olmakla beraber 420 bin vatandaşımız faydalanmışlardır. Çocuk koruma alanında yapılan bir reformla okul konusunda ebeveynleri desteklemek için ilk ve ortaokul düzenli olarak derslere devam eden çocuklar için de çocuk yardımı ve eğitim yardımı kullanabilmesi mümkün olmuştur. Böylece okuldan erken ayrılma ayrılmayı önlemek amaçlanmıştır. Kuzey Makedonya Hükümeti Çalışma ve Sosyal Politikalar Bakanlığı ile beraber enerji krizine yönelik çalışmaları bahsettiğim alanlarda gerçekleştirmiştir. Bir diğer alt başlığımız olan yeni dünya düzeninde teknoloji yönetimi ve gençlerin düşünceleridir. Günümüzde teknoloji yöntemine yaklaşmalar, teknolojinin stratejik ve operasyonel perspektifinin sistematik olarak yönetilmesi ihtiyacını ifade edilmektedir. Bu bağlamda teknoloji yönetimi bir işletmenin stratejik ve operasyonel amaçlarını şekillendirmek ve gerçekleştirmek için teknolojik yeteneklerin geliştirilmesi ve uygulanmasını planlanmaktadır. Yönlendirilmesi, kontrolünü, koordinasyonunu içeren bir süreçtir. Gençlerin düşünceleri hepimizin geleceğini şekillendirmektir. Dolayısıyla nasıl gençler yetiştiriyoruz ve gençler ne istiyorlar sorusu bizim için çok önem arz etmektedir. İlk önce gençlik kavramını bakacak olursak farklı tanımlar karşımıza çıkmaktadır. Ben gençliği bireyi sosyal olduğunda hazırlayan bir dönem olarak değerlendirmekteyim. Toplumun en hareketli dinamik bir parçası olan çocukluktan erişkinliğe, geçişte fizyolojik, psikolojik ve toplumsal pek çok karaktersizlik özelliklerini bir arada yaşadığı ve değişikliği aynı zamanda bireylerin kendi kimliğini bulup kazanmasıyla tamamen bir döneme ermektedir. İşte tam olarak da gençler de bu dönemde iş hayatına atılmaya başlamaktadırlar. Zaten bireyin benliği oluştuktan sonra kendi hayatına yönelir ve seçimler gerçekleştirmektedir. Meslek hayatlarını da incelediğimizde daha teknolojik ve hızlı olan tercih ettiklerini görmekteyiz. Peki gençlerimizin düşüncelerine baktığımızda daha çok ifade özgürlüğü istediklerini görebiliriz. Değişen hızlı hayata desteklenmek istiyorlar. Girişimcilik ve yatırımcılık konusunda aktiftirler. Dinleyerek değil de daha çok tecrübe ederek öğrenmeye tercih ediyorlar. Eleştirilmeyi değil, anlaşılmayı isteyip saygı beklerler. Değişim, eşitlik ve özgürlük değerlerini savunurlar. Sosyal medyanın popülerleşmesiyle ve hızlı sosyalleşmeyle daha gösterişli üne sahip olmak isterler. Ben buradan tekrar sözlerime son vermeden önce 27. Avrasya Ekonomi Zirvesi'ni ikinci kez sizlerle bir arada olmaktan memnuniyet duyduğumu bildirir. Bu organizasyonu tertip eden başta Başkan Hakan Bey'i ve emeği geçen her bireyi tebrik ederim. Ayrıca bugün burada ve bizden önce de değerli konuşmacılar birkaç sefer hem Türkiye Cumhuriyeti'nin 100. yıl dönümüne atıfta bulundular. Hem de malumunuz Makedonya Cumhurbaşkanı Sayın Georgi Ivanov'un da söylediği gibi ve Sayın Hocamız İlber Ortaylı Bey'in de söylediği gibi biliyorsunuz Balkanlardan, Rumeli'den biz yani bir deyim vardır. Her zaman Balkanlardan Türkiye soğuk hava bekliyor. Oradan gelen soğuk havaları diye söz ediliyor televizyonlarda. Ancak biz unutmayalım ki Balkanlar ve Rumeli Türkiye Cumhuriyeti'ne çok önemli ve değerli kişiler vermiştir. Bunlardan biri modern Türkiye'mizin kurucusu değerli atamız Mustafa Kemal Atatürk'tür ve değerli şairimiz Mehmet Akif Ersoy'dur. Gördüğünüz gibi sadece soğuk havalar değil, Balkanlar size çok değerli kişiler vermektedir. Ben tekrar hem 100. yıl, Türkiye'mizin 100. yıl dönümünü tebrik eder, hem de bu zirve hayırlara vesile olmasını diliyorum. Aranızda bulunmaktan da mutluluk duyduğumu ifade etmek istiyorum. Hayırlı akşamlar herkese.
Teşekkür ederim Sayın Cabir Doku. Şimdi Fofal ailesinden Sayın Claire Honk'u davet ediyorum. Sayın Claire Honk. Yes, the floor is.
Dr. Sabay, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, good evening. My name is Claire. I'm a volunteer of Federation of World Peace and Love, and I'm a first-year graduate student in Harvard University. I'm honored to be here today, and I'm excited to share my vision of the ideal world with all of you. Before I start, I want to ask you a question. What does your ideal future world look like? For me, I imagine a world filled with love and peace, where the gentle chirping of birds and the fragrance of flowers permeate the air, and all living beings coexist and thrive together. In this world, there is no war, no pain, no fear, and no sorrow. But to make this ideal world a reality, young people like us must play a vital role. According to the United Nations, almost 1/5 of the global population consists of 1.2 billion young people between the ages of 15 and 24. We are not just the leaders of tomorrow, but also the leader of today. Dr. Hong, the president of Federation of World Peace and Love, shared a powerful message. Conscience is a passport to heaven. Our conscience acts as an internal compass, guiding us toward what is right and wrong, and inspiring us to act in the best interest of humanity. When we act in accordance with conscience, we are more likely to make decisions that benefits others and avoid harming them, thereby reducing conflicts and chaos. As we strive for a peaceful and harmonious world, cultivating a strong sense of conscience is essential. Thus, I thought about how conscience plays an active role in my life. Oftentimes, due to the abstract nature of conscience, I'm not constantly aware of it. However, upon a deeper examination, I realized that conscience is the backbone of what I do, how I interact with others, and how I interact with my family, professor, how I decide to go about my day, and what I hope to achieve as a person in helping others. As a first-year student in epidemiology, I have learned that a conscientious approach to problem solving is essential in my field of study. It means being aware of the impact of actions on others, on the environment, and on future generations. It also means taking responsibility for our outcomes. For example, in my research focus on the safety of medicine use, I constantly remind myself to ensure that the trials I design their high level of rigor and ethics, so that the results are valid and reliable. This includes considering factors such as patient safety, ethical considerations, and minimizing the potential for biases. For me, it's very important to be conscientious in my expertise because the safety and health of patients are at stake. I really hope to improve public trust in the healthcare system as a whole, which can ultimately lead to better health outcomes and improve access to healthcare for all. As young people, there are many actions we can take to make a difference in the world. This desire for positive change also motivates me to work with full power to promote love and peace around the world. I vividly remember when I was a freshman in college, I was lucky to have the opportunity to travel to India Montessori School to participate in the Global Chief Justice Conference, spreading the seeds of conscience and love to all around the world. During my time as a volunteer in India, I hope to plant the seeds of happiness and conscience in their hearts through simple gestures like smiling. The joy of life is truly ordinary and simple, and I believe that if we can all put ourselves in others' shoes and refrain from creating unnecessary boundaries, the world will become a more loving and peaceful place. As I met many children during my trip, I realized that by instilling a sense of conscience and kindness in them while they are young, they will become even more energetic and positive-minded individuals in the future. As a generation of digital natives, we have unprecedented access to an explosion of knowledge and perspectives through technology, the internet, and artificial intelligence. This abundance of information offers new opportunities for learning and growth, but also presents the challenge of being discerning about what source we trust. It's important to approach this abundance of knowledge with conscience and be discerning about what source we trust, while also being open to new perspectives and ideas. Constantly, I would like to share with all of you Dr. Hong's 3 encouragements for young people, and I find it very useful in all different age periods. First, we should always be prepared to take actions and make a difference. Secondly, we must approach everything with a grateful and optimistic mindset. By focusing on the good in the world, we can work towards solutions to the problems we face. Finally, we need to think outside of the box and come up with new solutions to existing problems. By being innovative and creative, we can make a significant difference, and we can work together. So let's work collaboratively together for the world with no pain, no fear, and no sorrow. I hope you found this presentation useful. Thank you for having me today.
Birleşmiş Milletler'den gelen bu gençler yepyeni fikirler bize sunuyorlar. Kendilerine teşekkür ediyoruz. Değişik duyguları bize aktardılar. Genç kardeşimize teşekkür ediyoruz. Claire Onka. Thank you very much, Claire. Şimdi son konuşmacımızı davet ediyorum. Türkmenistan'dan Maliye Bakan Yardımcısı Sayın Serdar Javadov söz alacaklar. Sayın Javadov, lütfen kürsüye buyurun.
Konuşmama başlamadan önce depremde hayatını kaybeden vatandaşlarımız için Allah'tan rahmet diliyorum. Ve geride kalanlar için sabır ve başsağlığını diliyorum. Dear Dr. Hakan Suver, ladies and gentlemen, first of all, I would like to warmly greet you on behalf of Turkmenistan and also express my sincere gratitude to the Marmara Group Foundation for organizing 26th Eurasian Economic Summit, and I wish all participants of the summit strong health and fruitful cooperation. Dear ladies and gentlemen, the most important priorities for the sustainable development today are the digitalization of the economy and the use of digital technologies in all spheres of society. Let me briefly describe what steps Turkmenistan is taking to develop the digital economy into the country. The introduction of the digital system and digital transformation of the society in our state is carried out in accordance with the development of digital economy of Turkmenistan for 2019-2025 and the state program for the development of the digital economy of Turkmenistan for 2021-2025. These two documents aim at providing an enabling environment to adopt widespread use of information technologies in all sectors of the economy. As a part of implementation of the first stage of the concept, an intersectorial commission was created consisting of all heads of ministries, departments, and other organizations that are involved in the development of digitalization. The program for the development of digital economy has been developed and approved. At the first stage of the implementation of the concept, the improvement of the legislative and material and technical base, as well as the advanced training of the personnel was also carried out. As part of the second stage, in 2020, the law of Turkmenistan on electronic document management and digital service was adopted, which defines the legal status of electronic documents, electronic document management, and digital services, the main requirements for them, and directions for regulating relations emerging in this area. Also, in order to achieve convenience and improve the system of electronic services, the single portal of the State Service of Turkmenistan was created, which is Automated Information System Single Window. At the third stage, starting from 2024, it's planned to introduce successful projects in the sectors of the economy, the widespread development of digitalization, including trade, for the comprehensive integration for our country into the international digital economic system. Currently, Turkmenistan actively pursuing a course toward accelerated technological modernization of industries using modern digital solutions and digital transformation. Already the country has been elements of the digital economy in various fields. Active work is underway to introduce modern means that expand the range of non-cash settlement and payments, bank cards, transport service, healthcare system, education, and other types of services. Turkmenistan is also actively developing business in the field of digital trade. It has grown, especially during global COVID-19 pandemic. Along with this, active measures are being taken in the country to introduce electronic document management in all ministries and departments. In the direction of developing digital services, as well as creating a simplified online registration system for SMEs, from July 1st, 2020, the Ministry of Finance and Economy of Turkmenistan introduced electronic document management and the electronic tax system, which allows taxpayers to simplify the reporting system and simplify procedures, business registration. Summing up the results of the work done on the outlined prospects, it can be noted with confidence that Turkmenistan has thoroughly approaching the task of transitioning to digital economy. The widespread introduction of advancing digital technology will become the base for the further economic growth of the country. I thank you for your attention.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much, dear Deputy Minister Serdar Javadov. Sayın Başkan Irina Vlah, Sayın Cumhurbaşkanı Namdar Ekbayar, Sayın Cumhurbaşkanı Miladen Ivaniç, hanımefendiler, beyefendiler, yüksek sabrınızla, yüksek hoşgörünüzle 8,5 saattir buradayız. Hepinize ayrı ayrı teşekkür ediyoruz. 8,5 saatte 22 ülkeden insanlar dinledik. Bu 22 ülkeden insanlar değişik fikirlerini ortaya koydular. Ben sabahleyin konuşmamın başında dedim ki Avrasya Ekonomi Zirveleri hür bir platformdur. Burada entelektüel konuşmalar dinleyeceksiniz. Hür bir platform olduğumuzun en güzel işaretini aramızda Rusya Federasyonu'ndan ve Ukrayna Devleti'nden, aramızda Çin Halk Cumhuriyeti'nden ve Tayvan'dan temsilciler bulundurarak bir barış, bir sevgi, bir anlayış ortamında bir araya geldik. Sizlere minnettarız. Raportörlerimiz Sayın Yakut Irmak Hanım, Profesör Doktor, gene Profesör Doktor Ali Kemal Özdemir Bey, gene Profesör Doktor Uğur Özgöker, Doçent Doktor Aynur Acer ve değerli kardeşim Emil Nasırlı'ya teşekkür ediyorum. Marmara Grubu'nu temsil eden Sayın Ümran Öksüz Hanım'a, Sayın Mustafa Ergin Beyefendi'ye teşekkür ediyorum. Ve yüksek sabırlarından dolayı değerli dostum Moğolistan eski Ankara Büyükelçisi Sayın Kalyum Beyefendi'ye teşekkür ediyorum. Değerli kardeşim Moldova'nın önceki başbakanı Sayın Kiril Gaburuçi'ye teşekkür ediyorum. Ve Sayın Hong Tao Tızi'ye, ona da teşekkür ediyorum. Buraya renk kattılar. Bizim depremdeki acılarımızı değişik performanslarla paylaştılar. Kendilerine de teşekkür ediyorum. Hanımefendiler, beyefendiler, biraz sonra yemeğe geçeceğiz. Yarın sabah değişik oturumlar yapacağız. Bu oturumların birinde hanımlar kadın dayanışmasına ait birlikteliği ortaya koyacaklar. Bir diğer oturumda dini liderler ve onlarla beraber onların düşüncesinde şekillenen yeni dünyayı konuşacağız. Öğleden sonra ise önceki Cumhurbaşkanımız Sayın Abdullah Gül'le birlikte Sayın Marinko Çavara'yı ve Sayın Irina Vlah'ı onlarla birlikte önceki Cumhurbaşkanlarından Sayın Emil Konstantinescu'yu, Sayın Miladen Ivaniç'i, Sayın George Ivanov'u, Sayın Ivo Josipoviç'i, Sayın Vaclav Klaus'u, Sayın Petru Lučinski'yi, Sayın Monsef Marzuki'yi, Sayın Namdar Enkbayar'ı, Sayın Stefan Mesic'i, Sayın Fatmir Seydu'yu, Sayın Bamir Topi'yi ve Sayın Filip Vujanović'i dinleyeceğiz. Onların görüşleriyle 26. Avrasya Ekonomi Zirvesi'ni yarın akşam noktalayacağız. Ama tekrar hoşgörünüze, tekrar toleransınıza teşekkür ediyorum. Tercüman arkadaşlara ayrıca sabırları için teşekkür ediyorum. Ve hepinizi yaklaşık yarım saat sonra başlayacak olan akşam yemeğinize davet ediyorum. Teşekkür ederim. Sağ olun, var olun.